If you ever thought, man, the Monday after the Super Bowl should be a federal holiday, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Monday, February 9th edition, and indeed, this is the most called-in day of the year. The most called-in day of the year. But Benzinga doesn't call in, we don't call in, and our community doesn't call in. We got folks here ready to trade. We've got more stuff happening over the weekend, and we got another week of corporate earnings. Will the other shoe drop? We're going to talk about that. Possible conflict with Iran, possible conversations, who knows, more earnings. How's it all going to go? We're going to break that down for you. And of course, yesterday was the Super Bowl. I'm curious, are you interested in any new companies today based on some of the ads or promotions that you saw? What did you like? What didn't you like? How can we apply that here today? So, and I have a little bit more of a bonus. Daddy's gotcha. Next week, we actually get Monday off. Monday, February 16th is President's Day. So there's no market, no show next Monday. And better still, next year when we have our Super Bowl, the Super Bowl is going to fall on that weekend. So next year, a lot of us are going to have Monday off. But today, we don't have it off. We have another session. We're going to get through it. It's time for the news. It's time for the movers. It's time for all of those trades. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday after the Super Bowl edition for February 9th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Dare I call the group that show up today the real OGs? Is that what you folks want to be known as? The real OGs. Doesn't matter that yesterday was the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter that everyone else out there is, I'm tired, I'm going to call in sick. No, y'all folks are here ready to make some money. That energizes me. Let's get it going. Peter is first here today. Good morning, Peter. Hopefully all is well out there in Colorado. We got some more stuff to do here today. It's good to have you back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Robert said the Olympics were good this weekend. You know, Robert, I actually didn't check out the Olympics. I noticed that the men's hockey starts, I believe, on the 11th. So that's Wednesday. That's the day after tomorrow. That's what I'm really excited about. I will say I had shouted out last week that shout out to Lindsey Vonn for being tougher than all of us here and giving it a go. I saw that she actually had a spill and had to get airlifted out, has a broken leg and all of that. Wish her the absolute best. Amazing, amazing athlete. That's all I know that happened from the Olympics. So if there was something really, really good that I missed, let us know. Nonetheless, Robert, good to have you back. Zach, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken. Gets me fired up. I love it. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave says the market's looking a little red. Indeed it is, but it's actually up off the lows. Part of me wonders if we bounce here today. Big Dave, we'll see. Good morning. Good to have you. Neville, good morning. Welcome back. Whisk, good morning. Welcome back. Jim, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back. James, welcome back. Good to see you. What's good? Hit the like. James, give it to me, baby. Let's go. Hit that like. Help us use that algorithm to build our awesome community. We really appreciate it. Mopar Adventure. What Mopar based car are you rocking, boss? Hit a floor last week, recovery week. You know, I talked to a couple of people over the weekend that were saying exactly what you're saying. At least I think this is what you're saying. Several of my bigger trader friends, including ones that like don't like Bitcoin and like don't touch it, were like, I bought Bitcoin last week because it got absolutely crushed down to 60K. Oracle was on that list. So do we actually have a recovery this week? That's something we're going to take a look at. Let me know what you like in terms of a recovery or what you have your eye on out there. Producer, I don't know how we could do this show without you. You're the absolute best, bro. You already know that, though. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Brent, good morning. It's good to see you again. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Brian wants to remind all of you, just a reminder that Sam Darnold was in the same draft class as Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and he won a Super Bowl before both of them. He got to a Super Bowl before both of them, too. LOL. It just goes to show you here, remember, Darnold was cast aside by multiple people. The whole seeing ghosts thing happened. It looked like his career was over. Don't ever give up. There's stuff that we can relate to the Sam Darnold career arc to us here as traders. There might be some days where it looks like you're going to get traded or you're going to get cut. Hang in there. Hang in there. Lots of amazing things can happen. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Jamaican, good morning. Welcome back. Omar, good morning. Welcome back. Lost Penny, it's good to see you. Welcome back. AC, welcome back. Maverick, welcome back. Cam, welcome back. Marty, welcome back. Rustam. Oh, and Rustam, we are going to be talking about hymns. They had a Super Bowl commercial. They got their pill getting pulled. There are all sorts of stuff going on with hymns. You're in the right spot, buddy. We will definitely take a look at that. Thinking about it. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Cam, good morning. Welcome back. Chuck, good morning. Welcome back. Let's see. What else are we missing here? Creation, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back. Glenn, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Jane, welcome back. UP30X, welcome back. Bart, good morning. Welcome back. Who else am I missing here? Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. Go Steve, good morning. Steve says, good question about the commercials and companies. I do remember the CRM one, and they're popping here this morning. The two commercials that were notable to me that I just simply remembered were going to be the Coinbase karaoke commercial, which I wasn't really sure what it was until the end. And I was like, okay, Backstreet Boys. Okay, I don't know what that's going to do for the stock. And then the commercial that I liked the most was the Goodwill Dunkin' commercial with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. I'm amused by those. What can I say? I'm amused by those. I don't know what it means for the stock, though. That's why I wanted to ask you guys. Graph, good morning. Neville, good morning. Work Life, good morning. Kayla, good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. JJ, good morning. Cam, Animal, good morning. The Raisin Bran one was good. I don't remember it, but I don't doubt it. Raisin Bran is S-tier elite cereal, FYI. Austin, good morning. Welcome back. Tom, good morning. Welcome back. Yassine, it's good to see you as always, buddy. Ed, welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, welcome back. Mo, welcome back. One Top, welcome back. Dive Deep, welcome back. And Dirkus, welcome back. All right, folks. Little bit of an extended intro here today, but like I said, got to have energy day after the Super Bowl. Got to get it done. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures up off the lows ahead of Monday's open here. They're actually still under pressure and down, but near unchanged. And again, up off the lows. S&P futures down 0.01%, basically at unchanged now after being down earlier. Dow futures down 0.03%, and the NASDAQ leading the way lower at 0.1%. Now let's take a look at some cues from last session here. Industrials, energy, and information technology stocks led the S&P 500 gains on Friday, though consumer discretionary and communication services sectors closed lower against the trend. We had a pretty huge bump on Friday. You want to call that maybe short covering into the weekend after the Bears won the week prior. Let's see if we get any follow through here today. Again, a little bit weaker in the pre-market, but coming up off of those lows now. The decline follows a positive close across the indices in Asia, with the Nikkei 225 breaking the 57,000 point barrier for the first time, which was fueled by Prime Minister Sani Takayashi's landslide election victory and a high-profile endorsement from President Trump. Investors will be on the lookout for a slew of economic data that will be released this week, along with earnings from Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Ford, and T-Mobile. And in fact, there's going to be some more, and we'll take a look at those as the show goes on here. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.22%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.5%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show that the market is still pricing in an 84.2% chance of a hold at the next meeting, which is in fact in March. Now, we do have several stocks in focus here to get you started on this Monday. The first one is going to be Strategy, and the ticker here is MSTR. It continued its drop, falling 3.65% in the pre-market on Monday following its earnings last week. It did bounce, but it's down here today. It reported a massive $12.4 billion net loss driven by mark-to-market Bitcoin declines, which were far worse than expectations and contributed to heavy stock selling. The question is that over? The next stock on our list here is going to be STM Microelectronics, and the ticker here is an easy one. It's STM. It jumped 5.93% after securing a multi-billion-dollar deal with Amazon's cloud computing arm, Amazon Web Services. The next stock on our list here is going to be FedEx, and that's ticker FDX, and it rose 0.47% after a consortium led by it and Advent announces plans to buy InPost for 7.8 billion euro or 9.254 billion USD. The next stock on our list here is going to be Kroger. The ticker here is KR. Kroger gained 5.33% on news that it is considering former Walmart executive Greg Ferran as its next chief executive officer. So maybe stealing some C-suite talent there from Walmart for Kroger. The last stock on our list is going to be ON Semiconductor. The ticker here is ON, and it fell 1.38% as analysts expect it to post quarterly earnings at 62 cents per share on revenue of 1.54 billion after the closing bell today. All right, let's go back to Benzinga Pro. Let's whip up our handy-dandy price chart for the SPY, and let's observe where we are at here. Okay, currently sitting at 691.08, and again, this is after coming up off the lows. I'll show you the inside here so you can see we were down a little bit. Looked like we were going to have some weakness here, but as folks got up, perhaps there wasn't a lot of excitement in the Super Bowl and they're looking for it here in the market today. I don't know. But as you can see, the SPY is recovering here. And that's of note because what we've done is we've actually traded back above the 20-day moving average. The value I have for that is 690.20. We're currently sitting at 690.62 here in the pre-market. So giddy up. On Friday, we talked about that bounce back day that we had on Friday. It did work for us. It recaptured the 50-day moving average, which was at 686.81. And it basically ran right up to that 20-day moving average. So we recaptured the 50, we tested the 20, we basically stopped right at it. Today here in the pre-market, it's looking like early we're going to attempt to close above that. Let's reserve judgment until we actually get the closing candle here today. I would not be surprised if there was some back and forth here today, even if it's a little bit sleepy as some of those, let's call them less driven traders, decide to take the day off here today. Anyway, value I'm going to be looking at here today, can we get a close above this 20-day moving average on the SPY? If so, maybe that sets us up for another possible break to all-time highs here later this week, depending on what happens with some of those earnings. Now let's take a look at some insights here from analysts. After the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed above 50,000 for the first time on Friday, financial experts noted that cooling inflation and technical rebounds were primary drivers of the 1,200-point rally. Jeffrey Roach, chief economist for LPL Financial, noted that the median one-year inflation expectation hit their lowest levels since early 2025. He said, quote, "We think the Fed will cut rates later this year, which will grease the skid for more market appreciation," end quote. Jamie Cox, managing partner for Harris Financial Group, noted that the rally was a reaction to corporate strength rather than political headlines. I think that's probably good for everybody. Quote, "The washout is over. Markets realize that outsized spending on CapEx by large tech firms and a strong economy are bullish after all," end quote. Adam Turnquist, chief technical strategist for LPL Financial, observed that while the Dow cleared a major psychological barrier, the broader market still faces resistance. And we actually just talked about that here on the SPY, at least in terms of what the chart looks like. Quote, "We expect S&P 500 may have difficulty clearing the 7,000-point milestone without stronger contributions from the tech sector, especially software." Now, that's interesting because we've been talking about the SPY really trying to get above 700 or the S&P cash trying to get above 7,000. And we've been talking about it just doesn't seem to have that catalyst that's going to have that strength to bust us above. And Adam Turnquist here is saying we might not have that strength if software can't get its act together. we'll see here if any of those software names bottom. And as a reminder, if you have a favorite software name, I'd love to hear exactly what that is. Mohammed El-Arian, Allianz's chief economic advisor, warned that while total disorderly process was averted by the persistent buy-the-dip mentality, upcoming CPI data and labor market softening remain critical factors for the year ahead. So hedging his bet a little bit there. Some upcoming economic data here for the week. On Monday, Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic will speak at 10:50, all times Eastern, by the way. Fed Governor Christopher Waller will speak at 1:30. Fed Governor Stephen Miron will speak at 2:30 and will appear in a podcast interview at 5. On Tuesday, January's NFIB Optimism Index will be out by 6. Also, the fourth quarter's Employment Cost Index, December's Delayed Import Price Index, and delayed U.S. retail sales will be released by 8:30. November's delayed business inventories data will be out by 10. Cleveland Fed President Beth Hammack will speak at 12, and Dallas Fed President Lori Logan will speak at 1. On Wednesday, January's U.S. employment report, unemployment rate, and hourly wages data will be out by 8:30. That'll be a big one. Kansas City Fed President Jeff Schmid will speak at 10:10, and monthly U.S. federal budget data will be out by 2. On Thursday, we get initial jobless claims for the week ending February 7th. That'll be out by 8:30. And January's existing home sales data will be out by 10. Fed Governor Stephen Miron again will speak at 7 in the evening. On Friday, January's consumer price index data will be released by 8:30. So we do have some economic prints here today as well. Now, it is early here, so we're going to start with a little feather ruffling here. Trump says he was, quote, right about everything, end quote. Credits tariffs for the Dow at 50,000 and predicts it will reach 100,000. President Trump hailed a historic Wall Street milestone on Friday as the Dow Jones Industrial Average crossed 50,000 for the first time, a surge he attributed to his administration's aggressive trade policies. While on Truth Social, the president linked the market's record performance, to his protectionist agenda and national security strategy. Quote, record stock market and national security driven by our great tariffs, end quote. The index did climb to 50,115. Trump used the moment to issue a bold new forecast claiming that the market would double again before he leaves office. I'm predicting 100,000 on the Dow by the end of my term. Remember, Trump was right about everything. I hope the U.S. Supreme Court is watching, end quote. While the president focused on trade policy, financial experts noted that cooling inflation and technical rebounds were the primary drivers of the 1,200-point rally. As we mentioned, Jeffrey Roach from LPL Financial noted that median one-year inflation expectations hit their lowest levels since 2025. He told Benzinga, quote, we think the Fed will cut rates this year, which will grease the skids for more market appreciation. Jamie Cox, managing partner for Harris Financial Group, told Benzinga that the rally was a reaction to corporate strength rather than the political headlines. Quote, the washout is over. Markets realize that outsized spending on CapEx by tech firms in a strong economy is actually bullish. Now, reaching the president's 100,000 target will require a substantial breakout from the technology sector. We talked about Adam Turnquist's comments there about really having difficulty doing that so far. We'll see if anything changes here. As of the end of last week, the Dow Jones Index rose 3.58 year to date, whereas the S&P was only up 1.97%. The NASDAQ index was up 0.88% in the same time. Now, next here, I did want to also focus on the energy sector. I know we've been talking a lot about energy as being a theme here for 2026, and I am absolutely still on that. Total Energy is a stock that we've talked about quite a bit here and actually traded in our community. Total Energy SE, ticker TTE, on Monday announced that the company has signed 2 long-term power purchase agreements, or PPAs, to supply 1 gigawatt of solar capacity to Alphabet's Google data centers in Texas. The agreement will provide 28 terawatts of renewable energy over 15 years, marking the largest renewable PPA ever signed by Total Energies in the United States. Now, remember, this comes on the back of what we were discussing last week in terms of the solar theme, really kind of being here to stay. It's definitely going to grow alongside liquefied natural gas or natural gas, and then also the potential nuke names, which we've been talking about. Don't forget about solar. It's made an incredible run already. Several of the companies have also come off the bottom, most notably Enphase, which reported really, really good earnings. Part of me wonders if there's more of a run there to go. We shall see. Total Energy sets new renewable energy milestone. The company says that the power will be generated from the Wichita and Mustang Creek solar farms, which are still under development in Texas. The construction is set to begin in the second quarter of 2026. Marc-Antoine Pignon, Vice President of Renewables US for Total Energies, expressed enthusiasm about the agreement, stating, quote, this highlights, Total Energy's strategy to deliver tailored renewable energy solutions that support the decarbonization goals of digital players, particularly data centers. Through this PPA, Total Energies is also addressing the challenges of land availability and power supply by data centers by enabling large-scale co-location opportunities, end quote. The PPAs complement over agreements secured by Clearway, a renewables company 50% owned by Total Energies, which recently locked in 1.2 gigawatts of PPAs to support Google's data centers across various U.S. markets. This move aligns with Total Energy's strategy to provide tailored renewable energy solutions supporting the decarbonization goals of digital players like Google. As Total Energies noted, the company is building a competitive portfolio that combines solar, wind, and storage assets to deliver clean power. The company aims to reach over 100 terawatts of net electricity production by 2030, easy for me to say, leveraging its diverse asset portfolio to support customer decarbonation efforts. The development of Wichita and Mustang Creek solar farms will significantly impact local communities in Texas. According to Total Energies, the project will create several hundred construction jobs, providing economic benefits and supporting public services through tax revenues. Will Conkling, Director of Clean Energy and Power at Google, highlighted the importance of this agreement, saying, quote, our agreement with Total Energies adds necessary new generation to the local system, boosting the amount of affordable and reliable power supply available to serve the entire region, end quote. So again, energy not going anywhere. I think a lot of you folks have really kind of a good outlook on some of these energy names. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow night with Tim Melvin on energy. We're going to use Pro. We're going to find energy stocks. We're going to talk about energy stocks, what we like going forward. And folks, these aren't going to be shorter term trades. These are going to be longer term ones. So I'll have some sign up details for that for you tomorrow. That'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern time after the market closes. Okay, next, let's go back to a chart here. And let's start with HIMS because boy, oh boy, this thing has been on a saga. I know that this has been a trade that a lot of you folks have liked or wanted to take. Hell, in some cases, it's actually been quite profitable for us. But look at HIMS now. HIMS down 21.72% here. You can see on the chart, not only did we give up a lot of these moving averages here, but man, we just kept breaking down. When we gave up the 200, it was basically a direct march lower towards the 500. We got one relief bounce in here, which really ended up being a bull trap, if you ask me, before rolling over, piercing that moving average. Now we got more headwinds here. Oh, what's going on with HIMS, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. A Super Bowl ad by Hims & Hers has sparked controversy over the reliability and ethical implications of the newly promoted cancer detection test launched earlier this month. The ad, which aired during the Super Bowl over the weekend, promoted a new product by Hims & Hers, a blood test designed to detect over 50 types of cancer before symptoms appear. This includes hard-to-detect cancers such as pancreatic and ovarian, which currently have no routine screening options. The ad, narrated by artist Common, suggested that the test offer the same access to healthcare as the wealthy without the need for connections. However, questions have been raised about the test's reliability as its maker, Grail, that's ticker GRAL, advises that results should be followed up with for further medical testing to confirm a cancer diagnosis. Critics of the ad's deception of a man receiving a no cancer signal detected result risks giving patients a false sense of reassurance. Interim results from October 2025 show that the tests detect roughly 40% of cancers, meaning it misses more than half of the cases, even when cancer is present. Eric Topol of Scripps Research told the Washington Post that Galleri could benefit people at high cancer risks, but warned that broad use may waste money and produce misleading results. The test, which scans for tiny DNA fragments shed by cancer cells in the blood, will be offered by Hims and Hers to subscribers of its $350 lab service at a cost of $700, representing about a 25% discount from the manufacturer's list price. Grail has requested approval from the Food and Drug Administration under the agency's most rigorous regulatory pathway for medical devices and diagnostics. The controversial ad comes at a time where Hims and Hers is already under scrutiny. The company recently halted its offering of the $49 version of Novo Nordisk's, that's ticker NVO, by the way, Novo Nordisk's Wegovy, after a warning from the FDA on Friday. The launch drew legal threats from Novo Nordisk, which accused Hims and Hers of illegally mass-selling compound drugs and using deceptive marketing that put patient safety at risk. The move followed the company's disappointing Q3 earnings report in November. Hims and Hers posted an EPS of 6 cents, missing estimates, while revenues of $598.97 million topped expectations. The company guided fourth quarter revenues below consensus and narrowed its 2025 revenue outlook, roughly in line with analyst forecasts. Now, looking at the Benzinga Edge rankings here, Hims still scores in the 87th percentile for growth. But that momentum score, that is very, very quickly evaporated after Hims has rolled over. So a lot of stuff here and a lot of stuff going on here with Hims. Real rough. Looks like there's even more downside coming here for Hims. Obviously, the news about them pulling the pill, NVO actually traded up on that. And now we have the possibility that they might have made a deceptive ad for the Super Bowl. No bueno here for Hims. That's what's going on. Stock down 21.37% here in the pre-market. Just going back to the chart, I just kind of want to get opinions from the group here. Let me see if I can get those. So here, the chart's a little bit cleaner here, but what are we thinking? First of all, are you even thinking about buying Hims, or is this something that you're just kind of staying away or maybe looking for this to potentially go to zero? You will have to let me know. Otherwise, it sure looks to me like the next support area in here is going to be about $13.50 to $14 on Hims. Maybe it finds some support up here. This was a previous resistance level back in March of 2024, around 17.50. Y'all have to let me know. To me, this is an easy one for me. Hims is a no touch for me right now. Maybe this does bounce. Maybe it gets oversold and bounces here. Frankly, I think that there are better targets out there. That's just me. That's just me. Okay, next piece of news here. You didn't think you were going to get a Monday without some news about the memory stuff, did you? Well, I sure hope not. Samsung Electronics is stepping deeper into the race for next generation AI memory chips as the 6th generation high bandwidth memory supply battle tightens around a smaller group of major players. SemiAnalysis reported that NVIDIA plans to source HBM4 for its next generation Vera Rubin AI chips that we heard so much about, almost entirely from SK Hynix and Samsung, with Micron no longer in the mix. The firm cut Micron's projected HBM4 share for Vera Rubin to 0 and now expects SK Hynix to supply about 70% and Samsung roughly 30%. That was the Chosen Sun Daily reporting on Monday. Vera Rubin, NVIDIA's successor to Blackwell, will be the first AI chip to use HBM4. Analyst attributes Micron exit to difficulties meeting NVIDIA's stricter technical requirements. TrendForce and industry sources say NVIDIA raised HBM4 data transfer speed targets above 11 gigabits per second. A separate update stated Samsung is preparing to begin mass production of HBM4 chips for AI infrastructure. Bloomberg on Monday cited Yonhap News that Samsung plans to start shipping the chips to NVIDIA as early as the third week of February, with the memory expected to support NVIDIA's upcoming Vera Rubin AI accelerators. Samsung's progress signals its narrowing gap with domestic rival SK Hynix, which led to NVIDIA's memory supplier rankings. Samsung stock gained, helped by rising memory chip prices driven by heavy AI demand from hyperscalers like Amazon and Alphabet. Investor optimism around the data center spending boom has also lifted AI-linked U.S. tech stocks, with major hyperscalers expected to spend about $650 billion this year, and NVIDIA shares gaining nearly 8% on Friday. Now, this one's interesting to me, so let's consult the chart. Let's go back here. Let's take a look at Micron. Micron, I almost can't believe it. We'll pinch myself just to make sure that this is the case. Micron down another 3% here in the pre-market, currently looking at 383. Now, this is notable because that 3% drop takes us down about 11.5 points. And in the process, we are giving up the 20-day moving average. So I know we've talked a lot about some of these memory names really needing to come back to earth, this being a potential short for a trade here. Well, I'm curious on what you folks think about Micron here. We had the impulse move that took us up to 455. We had a pretty big pullback that took us down to a support level that we had outlined, and also recaptured the 20. Now it looks like that short-term bounce might be met with some more selling here. We've given up the 20. I would say that if we can't recapture the 20 here, perhaps you'd be looking at some more downside, maybe even the 50-day moving average. We have a small consolidation range here on Micron that tops at about 350. Bottom of that's about 325. But the $64,000 question, is it okay to short these memory stocks? These things have been absolute rockets, and they have graded shorts, like the Bears graded the Packers on the cheese grater. Sorry, had to throw that in there since football's over. Is Micron a short here? And particularly if you're looking for that, thinking back to Mark Petrino here, the ready, set, go setup for a trade. If it cannot recapture the 20-day moving average here, better still, if it trades up to the 20-day moving average, cannot recapture it, does that actually represent short entry to this? So interesting stuff here on Micron. If this is what it looks like inside here today. So you can see we actually did move lower with the broader market, but this on a relative strength basis, not as strong as the S&P, which is coming up off the lows. Micron here actually looking like it might want to take a move lower. We'll see. Y'all folks will have to let me know what you think on Micron here. All right. Let's see. That was him and hers. We did that. We did Micron. Here we go. This is rather amusing here. Okay. Rather amusing. Kalshi's tech glitches mar its Super Bowl debut. So we took a look at some of the prediction markets last week for just some of the bets. I know we focused a little bit on the Super Bowl there. I didn't place any prediction market bets, so you folks are going to have to let me know how it was. Over the Super Bowl. I bet plenty on the sports apps, and they were fine. No glitches at all. But in any case here, Kalshi's tech glitches mar the Super Bowl debut. What happened? The highly anticipated Super Bowl 60 served as a massive stress test for the burgeoning prediction markets industry. But for Kalshi, the Super Bowl of betting was defined more by technical fumbles than financial gains. As the Seahawks took a commanding lead over the New England Patriots, Kalshi, the federally regulated exchange that recently expanded into sports trading, found itself overwhelmed. Skyrocketing trading volume led to widespread reports of app shutdowns and significant deposit delays, leaving many users unable to place bets during the game's most critical moments. Why are you doing it then? Why are you doing it then? Addressing the chaos on X, Kalshi co-founder Luna Lopes-Lara attempted to reassure the frustrated, quote, "Some deposits are delayed because of the amount of traffic and deposits we're getting," end quote. Lara wrote, "Your money is safe and on the way. It will just take longer to land." Yeah, but that's no good. They tried to bet the Super Bowl and they couldn't. And the game is ticking away, and they can't bet. Have you ever met a gambler that can't do the gambling that they want to do? They're not a happy bunch. They're not a happy bunch at all. The technical failure was sparked immediate backlash across social media. While Kalshi has positioned itself as a sophisticated alternative to traditional sports books, the Sunday outages led industry observers to question its scalability. Here's a picture of the error message. Other users, reported more severe financial anxieties. Ex-user Jacob Berger noted, quote, "Kalshi did all ad investment for the Super Bowl just for the app to completely shut down on the day of the Super Bowl. LMAO." End quote. I'm sorry for laughing, but just the way it's written there, it's rather amusing to me. Another user claimed that while the platform reported a failed deposit, the funds had already been debited from his bank account. Now, that would make me mad. That would make me mad. If money got taken from my bank and is not showing up in wherever I tried to put it, I'd be mad about that. I generally am pretty patient with tech issues, but that one, no bueno. The stumble comes at a pivotal moment for Kalshi. Despite legal challenges from states like Nevada, the platform has seen a meteoric rise since the CFTC cleared the path for prediction markets. However, as DraftKings and other legacy titans eye the prediction space, Kalshi's Super Bowl struggle highlights the steep climb required to handle the infrastructure demands of mainstream American sports. So again, I would just like to get an idea from the group for any of my gambling friends out there. Did you use the prediction markets to bet this game, or did you stick maybe with more traditional sports betting applications? Or hell, did you just make a day of it and go to the casino like the old-fashioned days? Y'all will have to let me know. I will say, I'm just glad that there were no technical snafus or outages for any of the technology that I was using to enjoy that football game, whether it was betting, watching, reading about it, all of that stuff. I didn't have any problems. So thankfully, you folks will have to let me know how that worked. Okay. Last story here, and then we'll get to some street tweets. We can also do charts today. We're going to have 13 jumping on. We're going to break down the movers. We can do all of that stuff. But let's start here, or let's go ahead and finish up here, I should say. Daniel Newman backs Amazon as UBS forecasts Amazon Web Services growth doubling to 38% in 2026. Calls it one of his best ideas. On Sunday, Amazon drew a bullish call from Futurum Group CEO Daniel Newman, who said the stock is one of their best ideas for 2026, echoing a UBS forecast. Newman said on X that Amazon is one of our best ideas for 2026, acknowledging a choppy start, but arguing that Amazon Web Services growth is only beginning to reaccelerate. He cited UBS research that projects Amazon Web Services growth could double to 38% in 2026, up from an estimated 19% in 2025. UBS said Amazon's disclosure of $200 billion in 2026 capital expenditures far exceeded expectations, but reflects sustained demand for cloud and AI services. The bank expects Amazon Web Services backlog to ramp towards $400 billion by the end of 2026, which is supporting a mid-30s growth into 2027 if capital intensity remains elevated. Well, we already know capital intensity is going to remain elevated, so we can check that box. Amazon executives have pushed back against investor concerns that heavy spending on AI and data centers could pressure returns. During the company's latest earnings call, the executive said demand remains strong across AI, chips, robotics, and cloud infrastructure, justifying that aggressive investment. Amazon reported fourth quarter net sales of $213.39 billion, which was up 14% year over year, topping Wall Street expectations. That's according to Benzinga Pro. Amazon Web Services reported $35.6 billion in sales, marking a 24% year over year increase. And Amazon Web Services operating income rose $12.5 billion. That was up from $10.6 billion a year earlier. So Amazon, I know there are a lot of folks here that like it. I love Amazon for the long term. I think Amazon, similar to Costco in a sense, that this is definitely a good add-on weakness stock. And what do you think? What do you think about Amazon here? More for the long term. I know there's going to be some day trading back and forth here with Amazon, but let me know what you think for the long term. Does it hold 200? Is that really the spot that we need to look at here? I know we kind of challenged 195 last week. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do our street tweets segment here. Let me go ahead and find that. All right. First tweet here. It is a quoted tweet, and the quoted tweet says 6 U.S. states now bills to pause data center construction New York just introduced a 3-year moratorium. Florida's governor is publicly opposing them. Bernie Sanders wants a national freeze. The same AI infrastructure build-out that's driving $500 billion in annual capex is now getting some pushback here. So Sam Corris from ARC says, I wonder why orbital data centers are gaining so much traction. Now, we've talked about the whole data centers in space play. We've talked about both sides of it, how it makes a lot of sense, how it's definitely going to be expensive. We even had a little discussion here about how are they going to get all those things up there. I know 13 is very big on Starship and its payload that it can take up there. We even discussed the possible space elevator, which goes back 20 years from discussion on creating a low-cost way of getting freight into low Earth orbit. But I think that this is hitting on something here. I think that this is something that we should keep our eyes on, especially for those of us that have a long-term view. If the data centers really are going to be not ideal to live around, I think that that does actually boost the possibility that we see these things in space. Now, how well is that going to work? I don't have the answer to that. How long is it going to take? Shit, I don't have the answer to that either, and I wish I did. But this is something that we're going to see more and more of as the data centers expand, as people kind of push back on this. I think more and more you're going to see talk about these things going into space. I don't think it's just some wild future prediction, which I think when I first heard this, I was like, oh, that's cute. A data center in space. Yeah, sure. Okay. And it's going to have robots doing spacewalks on them. And then, like, the more I think and the more I watch Optimus, I'm like, yeah, actually, that might happen. So we'll see. You folks will have to let me know. What do you think here on data centers in space? Is this a pipe dream? Is this legitimate? And if we're able to actually do this, does it make for a good stock trade? I tend to think that it would, personally. But I'd like to get your opinion on all of that. Producer, next tweet. Next one here comes from Michael Burry. Now, Michael Burry here talking about the sell-off here. The quoted tweet says, the entire sell-off this week, and this is in reference to the sell-off last week, by the way, the entire sell-off last week was sparked by a completely false narrative, amplified by technically illiterate media pouring gas on the panic, just like DeepSeek last year. You can't make that stuff up. Now, I encourage, producer, if you wouldn't mind throwing this tweet. In fact, I might be able to do it myself. Let me go ahead and actually give you this tweet, because you might want to go through the quoted tweet and all of that. Makes a good case here for why the media is completely inept, which I don't think I need to tell this group here. I think that's why you guys are here, frankly. National mainstream media, just a complete joke. We saw it with DeepSeek, and we're seeing it again here. Now, Michael Burry pushing back a little bit on this. The market is just jittery over historic overvaluation, historical capital expenditures, and tiny AI revenue. So highlighting here that, hey, there's still some real issues here. We're spending a ton of money, and the revenue not actually big yet. And I think this goes back to the big question here is, what is going to be that breakthrough moment for AI where it just justifies all of the spending? I gather from the group out here, we really don't think that, like, chatbots that code and do support and maybe write goofy songs, I don't really think that's going to be it. So what is it? What is it going to be here? And I think one of the things that is going to continue to weigh on some of these stocks is the spending worth it? Michael Burry telling you that these jitters may very well be legitimate, and I don't think we're anywhere near the end of this back and forth. You folks will have to let me know what you think. Is all of this AI spending, all of this CapEx spending, is it going to be worth it? Is it going to not be worth it? Does the truth lie somewhere in the middle, as it often does? Can't wait to see. We're going to this is going to be a huge theme for 2026 and beyond. I think I would agree that this is likely going to go into the 2030s. Producer, next tweet. All right, here we go. In fact, here we go again from Zero Hedge. Japan's 30-year yield rose 5 bips to 3.6%. The 10-year JGB yield rose 4.5 to 2.275 after Premier Takayashi's landslide victory assures the money printers go burr. So the thought here is that they're going to keep printing money in Japan. What does that mean for our markets here? They're quoting some of the Japanese yields. I've told you folks before, we're extremely lucky because in the happy hour, we have a retired analyst who actually lives in Asia and follows all of this back and forth and then reports on it for us. Not something that I follow here, but as closely, but I am well aware that this is absolutely going to have an impact on our markets. And I wanted to put that on the table for you folks to have a discussion about. What does it mean? What does it mean going forward? And has it reared its head yet? Or is this something we're still waiting out? All right, producer. That'll do it for the street tweets. Next here, let's go ahead and kick off our Monday with our Monday Macro Minute. All right, our post-Super Bowl Macro Minute for Monday, February 9th is going to be, we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when is that going to be? We still have potential conflict with Iran or potential deals with Iran. We have a whole bunch of corporate earnings coming up here this week. What is that going to mean for our market? Here's a quick peek at some of the earnings that we can expect. So looks like some of the big ones here. We are going to get Lyft and Ford after the close tomorrow, along with Gilead, but we're going to have McDonald's on Wednesday. We have Airbnb on Thursday. On Wednesday in the morning, we're going to have T-Mobile on there. So lots of corporate earnings here. And earnings, really, we talked about this being kind of a driver for the market already. Corporate earnings have been good, but not great. And is that what's actually going to sink us here? Clearly, we haven't had the juice to move the next leg higher here on the broader market. And so I'm wondering, does the other shoe drop this week? Does the slate of earnings here pick a direction either way? Do we get a headline bomb that picks our direction either way? What is that other shoe that's going to drop? And do we get it this week? All right, folks. Let me go ahead and get the chart back in here. I absolutely ripped through the news there. I think I had the ample amount of coffee here today because I was able to rip through that news, all of the tweets and the macro minute, and we still have 13 minutes left until 13 shows up. So I think what we can do probably right now is just some ticker time. I see a couple of you folks mentioning Ondas here, and I see Ondas popping in the pre-market. So maybe we'll start there. Let's see what's going on. Hey, Ondas back at about 10. Okay, well, before I dive into the news, let's just first start with the chart because I am going to be extremely happy if the price action follows the drawing that we plotted on this when we got asked about this in the sell-off. First of all, we have a trend line here that connects several of the highs from the impulse move that we made at the end of 2025. Okay, great. So we broke out from that trend line. Now it looks like we're back testing the trend line. The bounce that we actually got there on Friday also corresponds quite well to the 100-day moving average that it looks like we're bouncing over. That value right around 9, by the way. I think we talked about this pulling back to the 8s as a potential bottoming area for it on the next pullback. So here today, we've got some news, stacks up 3.6% here. It does look like the 50-day moving average is going to be on deck here today. So I know a lot of you folks notice that when Ondas reports news, it trades up in the morning and then sells off in the afternoon. We'll see if we end up getting that. Keep your eye on 1032 though. Can we close above 1032? Better still, can we get multiple closes above that 1032 and then make our way towards the 20-day moving average at 11.5 there? That would be ideal. So chart actually looking pretty good for a bounce here. And if it continues the way that it looks like it's going to go, we kind of predicted that. Now, you did mention that there was some news here. Ondas, $4 million defensive secures $30 million demining program in Israel. So let's see what this one is here. A leading provider of autonomous aerial and ground Ondas business unit will provide wireless solutions through Ondas networks. 4M Defense has been awarded a large-scale, multi-year demining program in Israel after winning a vendor valued at over $30 million. The project will be executed based on defined project milestones with an internal execution period of up to 3 years. So this is a possible $30 million contract that might take a couple of years here. This is on the Israel-Syria border. This award reflects the increasing demand for advanced technology-driven approach to land clearance in a complex and high-risk defensive environment. Okay, so first of all, definitely new contract here, $30 million. How much will they actually profit off of that? Don't know yet. Now, the good news here, again, just kind of thinking back to what Eric told us about when he joined us for an interview here, he talked about really kind of adding a lot of the technology to the stack. So we didn't just want a drone that drops a payload or a drone that does counter drone work. Wanted a bunch of different drones. First-person drones. He talked about the WASP system when he came on for our interview here. Now it looks like we have another defensive contract here. So this is good. This is just kind of filling out the plan, right? We want more and more of these. It's not necessarily going to be one contract. It might be if they get a huge contract that has an eye-popping number here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a single contract that drives the stack. Instead, it's the culmination of all of those contracts, all of the different technology. It looks like this is just one more step along the way here for Ondas. We're trading up here in the pre-market. Great. As far as the chart goes, I maintain that 50-day moving average. Can we get above it and close it and close above it? If so, that probably puts the 20-day on deck here. So good stuff. Good. We got some more news there. Secures $30 million multi-year demining program. Okay, fantastic. We'll see here if Ondas can catch a bid from that. Okay, now let's take a look at some other stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. Good morning, Sel. It's great to see you. Glenn said news on Ondas. MI, you wanted to take a look at CRM. Great call. Great idea here. We talked a little bit about software kind of leading the way lower here for tech. Software might be one of the big kind of subsectors to blame for the potential, or not potential, for the inability to really take the next leg higher here. And you want to take a look at CRM. CRM down 0.7 here in the pre-market. Here's what the daily chart looks like. I think the last time that we talked about this, we actually talked about this area. Right? I'm pretty sure we talked about this former low. Yeah, we did, because we talked about this area being resistance back in 2022 and then acting as support again in 2023. So now we're revisiting this level. So we actually put in, okay, so we actually already tried to bounce once here in CRM. We don't have it yet. Here's what I would say about this, especially for today. Let's see if you can hold this 187 low. All right, because maybe it is trying to carve out its bottom here, but maybe this actually plunges and takes out that low from Thursday and Friday and really kind of hunts for another one. Frankly, just looking at the chart here, we have a long-term support trend line that goes through a number of bottoms here, including the December 2022 bottom. It sure looks like this stock could really kind of hunt for 161. So while I think that we are at a potential support spot that we looked at before, I don't think that I am confident enough to say, yes, for sure, this is where the stock's going to bounce. I mean, looking at the volume profile here, we're kind of in this low volume node till we get down to 165 here. And I'll be honest, I've got 160 as the trend line thereabouts, that support trend line. So I absolutely see some more downside here to 160, 165 on CRM. Maybe you do get a little bit of a bounce there. I mean, hell, we are in oversold territory here on the RSI, and it already did try to bounce once here. But I'll be honest, the action here in the pre-market just doesn't give me that confidence. So I would say here, I would be willing to be a little bit more patient here. A couple of other things. We did have this head and shoulders. I know it's a bit janky, but perhaps now we're kind of playing out from that head and shoulders formation. Where's the bottom right here? I got to think 160, 165. Maybe we bounce sooner than that, but I would say from looking at this chart and trying to take a bit more conservative approach here, I would say 160, 165. MI, you were saying, I'm thinking a put trade to 170, 160. Okay, so if you think that there's some more downside here, that 160 to 170 target makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know. I do think software eventually is going to turn around here. I don't know when it's going to be. I know that there's some thought here that software is kind of getting hit because AI is going to replace some of the software. But I just want to remind you that if one of these software companies develops some tool that everybody needs to have, it's going to very quickly erase some of these down moves. So I can't predict that. That being said, looking at the chart here, sure looks like this wants to go test 160, 165. That's what I would say there. So good stuff there on CRM. Okay, IGV. So this is one that Lion brought up last week. This is the just kind of sticking with the software theme here. This is what Lion brought up last week. Now, one thing to keep in mind here with IGV. I actually, because I screwed this up and I didn't know what he was talking about initially, I actually had to look into this a little bit more so that I didn't come off like a complete doofus. First of all, I would agree. This big plunge down here sure looks like maybe we could bounce from here. Even so, I'm thinking maybe 77 as another potential support area. But even more importantly than this is that tech software sector. This contains things like AppLovin, Unity, and Datadog, all of which report this week. So we're looking at a chart here. This reports Wednesday after the market closes. I think I mentioned that in my earnings breakdown. Can't remember if I did. Unity Software is another one. That reports Wednesday before the market opens. And then Datadog is another one contained in that. That reports tomorrow before the market opens. So looking at the chart here, you can absolutely make the case that this would be a good potential bounce play here. Look at the move down that it made on volume. Is it coming into a support level here for a potential bounce? You could absolutely make that case. And actually, if I zoom out a little bit here, look how great this level is, right? So this support level, 1, 2, 3 bottoms. This would make the fourth if we test it. But better still, if we go back to February of 2021, this was resistance, and then resistance again later in 2021 when we broke out, then support as we broke back beneath it. So this level that we're coming into, very, very critical. It looks like IGV wants to maybe push down towards that level right now, but please keep in mind, several components from this report this week, and that is going to have a dramatic impact on what this stock does. You are definitely going to be less exposed to those individual reports by going the ETF route, but given that there are several of them that report here this week, you're going to see some movement in IGV based on what those individual companies report their corporate earnings. This is why I said in the macro minute, is this the other shoe to fall? When is the other shoe going to drop? Because we're still kind of waiting for that. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good news. But just keep in mind, I mean, maybe App, Unity, and Datadog, I should be more specific. Maybe App, Unity, and Datadog report good earnings and actually really kind of help a bounce from this area. Let me know. And Lion, if you're still out there, if you're not smashing tables or cursing off stuff, let me know what you have here. I'm assuming you're holding this through the earnings reports. That's very typical of your trading plan. But let me know in terms of points on the chart here. Michael here says, I'm looking for IGV to hit the long-term trend line around 65 to 70. So I would imagine that you probably have a support trend line here without asking you about it. Is this about, yeah, okay. So I think I eyeballed it based on what you were saying, Michael. You'll have to correct me if I completely butchered that. But anyway, I am looking for IGV to hit the long-term trend line around 65 to 70. Won't happen for a bit, but it should get there. Okay, so it seems to me like you're kind of waiting for this to maybe pull back a little bit more too. Maybe a more conservative approach. You got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me too. And actually, with 13 not here yet, I appreciate you being a second set. There's 13. All I had to do was say that he wasn't here yet, and he's like, "I'm just going to type this message and make Ryan look like an idiot because I'm right here." So thank you, 13. We're starting off this Monday perfectly. You're doing a great job here. All jokes aside, Michael, I like this. I still think that we're going to have something happen here at about 76. And just like we were discussing the last time, or just like we were discussing a few minutes ago, several big components, namely App, Unity, and Datadog, report here this week. And that's going to have an impact on this. Okay. All right. Really good stuff. Let's go ahead and welcome 13 on here. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I have to play your intro. Sorry, 13. He's like, what the hell? Let's do our pre-market pulse. Well, 13, I'm not as good as our full-time producer, but you're doing better every day. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing just fine. I heard you guys. How is everybody this morning? How was your weekend? How about that game? Yeah. So how about all that went on this weekend? Anyway, IGV that you guys are talking about. Did you look at the happy hour chart?
No. You know what? Let me. Didn't even realize that was there. Let me see what's going on here with the happy hour. Did you post it here recently? Am I going to be able to find it easily?
Last month, just type IGV. It's the top result.
Okay, so search hashtag IGV.
Yeah, you don't even have to put the hashtags in. That's a nice thing. There you go, top chart.
And here it is. All right, what do you got for us, 13?
Well, you see that blue line right there? That's the 50-month SMA. If you want, you can go to your live chart and see how we reacted to that.
Okay. 13 setting this up like he already knows what's going to happen.
I already know what's going to happen.
So I'm super excited about that. Let's do that. Let's close the chat. Let's go to the monthly chart here. Here's what we got.
Got a nice clean bounce off the 50 months.
How about that? So what do you think, 13? Do you think we hold this? Do you think maybe we overshoot this?
I think what we could see happening, because you saw that I had that sideways channel drawn. I think with this rebound off the 50-month SMA, we could come back up to the top of that. That's going to be just shy of 90. So about 89, 89.50. I don't know if we're going to be able to break through it when we come back up. This is still pretty bearish over the past several months, since actually the end of October. So we could just be seeing a brief bounce before we go lower. But I think that's what we end up getting. We end up happening here next is that we're going to get this bounce off the 50-month SMA. We're going to trade up a little bit. I don't know that we're going to get back above 90 though. That's where the big question mark is for me. But this is kind of the range that we're looking at right now with that sideways channel. The bottom of that range is about 70, 76.50, something around down in that area. But I think we're going to struggle to recapture 90. So that's how high I think we go in the short term.
Okay. Really good stuff there with IGV. We'll see how that all shakes out. All right, 13, let's break down some of the movers there.
Sure.
I don't know if you took a look at it, but I did already talk about Ondas and the $30 million contract that they have there for the new program in Israel. So I don't know if we need to go over that, or at least we can focus on other stuff that's moving around. Did you want me to start with something in particular? Can I just start with UOKA here?
Well, real quick, we just got news right before I came on that Playboy, PLBY, is selling half their China segment, and that started to move. So this one with some fresh news, fresh price action. So I don't have a whole lot of levels, but we are trying to hold above this VWAP right now. It looks like we're setting up to make the next push up here, and it's trying to go after 2, but there's some sellers in the way at 2. So we could still see some resistance as we approach the open here. 73 million shares in the float. The company has cash, even though they do burn it up a bit. 1.38 million shares in the float. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing this move so easily. That's the news here with this one. I didn't cover this one too extensively because it just started moving. But it looks like, yeah. So basically 185 to $2. That's kind of the area we're in, and there's consolidation back from December right in that area. So it's looking to be like $2 is the big breakout spot. So just watch for the volume to take us through that handle.
Okay, and selling this to that China business there, this should actually be pretty good for it, right? Like this UTG Brands Management Group is actually local, so they should know how to maybe market this to the local thing there. Okay, so this actually, market's liking it, seems good on the surface, plus 20%. Let's do a quick peek at the short interest. 1.9% of the float short with 3.88 days to cover. On average, the thing trades about 750,000 shares. It's done 1.16 today. Float here right in our butter zone at 1.33. Okay.
Yep, that's the. I just wanted to get that out of the way because it just started going. We can go to UOK now.
Okay, perfect. No, that's great. Look, that's actually a catalyst here, and it's actually a catalyst that's driving the stock. This is exactly what we should be covering here in this segment, so that's perfect. Now, UOKA here, let's take a look at this. This stock did pop on Friday and actually bled up a little bit in the after hours, popped again here today. I think the encouraging thing here today is that we did see more volume. I don't have any news on this, though.
I don't either.
Okay,
and this one, be very, very careful with. It's got a mega low float. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So let's just start there. Indeed, super, super low float, 241,000 shares in the float here. 9.64% of its float shorted. Let's very quickly take a look at the days to cover. 1.42, so probably pretty negligible in there. On average, stock trades 200,000 shares. It's done 42.7 million here today. So it sure seems like somebody is let's say toying with it. All right. It's in the real estate management and development sector, provides real estate agency services to real estate developer clients, and it derives most of its revenue from the United Kingdom. So UOKA here up 7%, super low float, 13. The first thing that I see here is trend line connecting some of these highs. This gives us a target to bust over. We'll see if we do that. It does look like it's trying to hold two here. What do you think?
So the company needs cash, and they do have an offering on the table. I think because they were at risk of getting delisted, so they went through their reverse split, and now they're going to raise some capital. They have an offering of over 2.3 million units that was announced late last month. I don't think I don't know if they've executed that or not, but if they haven't. It's something that's certainly going to happen soon, in my opinion, because they do need the capital. I had resistance pegged around 235, and if we got through that, 245, 250 was the next area, but we seem to have lost VWAP since then. And now we're coming down to a support area, which is about 205. If we lose that, and we have lost the 65 EMA, so we need to recapture that, or it's further down we go. And if that happens, I think we're going to 175. That looks like the next big support area, both from the impulse move in the after hours last week and from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Yeah, I've got this 175, 172, 175, somewhere in there, 13. I think you're spot on with that. Okay, good stuff there, UOKA. Yeah.
So just be careful with this one. If you are going to try and trade this, we have seen these mega low floats be very volatile, and that can be sometimes good for trading. But if this doesn't look appealing to you, which in most cases it's not, because of just no news and needs cash and all this other headwinds that I pointed out, find something else to trade. Just wanted to make sure that we could see this turnaround because of how low the float is, but just don't be enticed if you're not sure about this stock. This one could rug pull a lot of people.
Okay, really good stuff there on UOK. Moving along here, next I've got RITR. This is Ritar Logtech Holdings. This had one of those. This was a penny stock, had a big impulse move up to 160, retraced some of its move, could not get back above the VWAP. We see this formation all of the time. Frankly, this one's going to need to firm up and show us something. It is holding above its 65 EMA on the 5, so maybe it gets going here, but we'll see. Let's take a quick peek at the news on this one. We did have a catalyst for this, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Ritar Logtech signed a strategic corporation framework agreement with Optimize Integration Group, first-year procurement of target RMB 1B. Now, that was... this is a Hong Kong stock, right? So, what do you have? What is this?
The conversion?
Okay.
No, I don't have the conversion.
No, okay. I figured, who knows here. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 0.82% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. On average, it trades 200,000 shares. It's traded 35 million shares here today. Float is at 17.29 million, but remember, this is a China name as it is centered in Hong Kong. 13, what do you think here on RITR?
So this one actually has revenue in cash, so I'm not concerned about this one needing to raise capital today. They do have 17.29 million shares in the float, so it's one of the thicker ones that we're looking at today. This, when I was taking a look at it earlier, it needed to get back above its VWAP. It still has not been able to do that. Now it's coming down to test the 65 EMA as support, which if this doesn't get it here, we're likely going to come back to some of the prices we were trading at late last week. I think this could be done if we lose a 65 EMA. So It looks like it wants to try and curl back up, but if we continue to drift lower, then that might not happen. So don't really have a whole lot of great things to say about this one, unfortunately. But if it does hold the 65 EMA, we're going to want to see a recapture of VWAP. If that happens, I'd say 120 is the next resistance spot after that.
Okay, really good stuff there. Good morning, Jay. Great to see you. Jay saying that the Waste Management Invitational was better than the Super Bowl. I would agree. By the way, Jay, I woke up on Sunday and saw that Scheffler was plus 2,000 to win, and I was like, okay, somebody messed up there. I took that bet. We got so close. But I agree. That was actually better viewing than the Super Bowl itself. Good morning. Good to see you. Moving on with the list here. Next is going to be SXTC, and this is China SXT Pharmaceuticals. And it looks like we looked at this at the right time because it is popping on supposing as we speak here. Stock is up 37%, poking about 416 here.
They must have, this must be after the reverse split. They had a reverse split for 1 for 150. That happened at the end of last month, is effective on the 3rd of this month.
Yep.
And I guess now they're just hitting it because now the float's under $1 million.
And I don't see, I'm trying to look around here to see if there's anything on FinTwit for the movers. I don't see anything on this, at least not yet here.
This is one of two of the low floats getting hit. UOKA is the other one. Had no news, mega low float. So just, I think we're going to see more of this, and no 100% runners despite that.
Okay. Really quick wrap up here on SXTC. I think this is high risk. Float 853,000 shares in the float. On average, trades 180,000 shares. Done 1.7 million here today. Let's take a look at the short percent of float. Negligible short interest on this, but 13. I think you're right. This is just kind of a low float pump here, and probably be careful with this one. Okay, good stuff. Moving while we were talking. All right, next one here is going to be MNTS. This is Momentous. This is one that we've talked about quite a bit here. Momentous, the stock closed at about $6 on Friday. It's up 22% here. And it actually looks like it's about to battle with the VWAP right around 750 there. So this looks like maybe it's going to make another attempt here. Momentous and NASA partner under Space Act agreement to advance in-orbit servicing, rendezvous, proximity operations, and space infrastructure development in low Earth orbit. Now, this comes on the back of our whole data center and space conversation that we were just talking about, and that we were talking about the new angle that's being attached to this. There are so many people that don't want the data centers in the backyard. Maybe putting them in low Earth orbit is actually the right answer. So Momentous here, they're going to partner to advance some of that in-orbit servicing. Maybe this is a new thing behind the thing play in the space theme 13. You'll have to tell me. Quick peek at the short interest. 14% of the float shorted there with 1 day to cover. On average, it trades 2.4 million shares. Today, it's done 13.7. Float here right in our butter zone, 1.66. 13, what do you think on this one? Interesting news here.
It is. And I hope that this is in line with, what that conversation we're having about data centers in space, because if they, mostly this is going to be servicing other craft in space and like satellites. But if that is expanded to include data centers, that'd be great. I don't know that that's what they're doing at Momentous, but I think this is certainly one that if you're interested in the space plays and you like the idea of data centers in space, do a deeper dive into this one, see if that's what they're actually doing, servicing data centers in space. Because I think this company really needs some big wins. They don't make a whole lot of money. So I would think that this contract's certainly going to help that move along. I didn't read too deep into what this contract involves. But if there's a room for expansion, this could be one of the companies that ends up servicing data centers in space. Now, they did look like they need some cash, but they did a private placement last month for $5 million. Okay. So I don't think that they're going to need to do that anytime soon. I don't think there's a risk of trading this today, knowing that they're not going to raise capital. It looked to me like at the time I was looking at this, 785 was the resistance. It certainly has held up. VWAP has now continued to suppress the price action to the upside. And if we can't get back above the VWAP, I think we are going to end up going back down to around 650. So, and there also is a bit of a short interest on this, not too high, but it's a little elevated for what the stock usually has as far as short interest goes. 14% of the float shorted, but just only 1 day to cover.
Okay. All right. We'll see here. MNTS. Interesting news there. We'll see if it ends up taking hold. We already did Playboy. Cold here. This is the natural gas ETF. Not a whole lot to cover there. APPX. This is the 2X levered APP App Lovin ETF. Remember, they report Wednesday after hours. The next stock on our list here is actually QS, and this is QuantumScape. Now, this is part of the battery theme that we've been talking about. They also report earnings here Wednesday after hours, but they did pop towards 1050 earlier today. We retraced some of the move. It looks like it's curling back up. Let's see what we have in here. This looks like just continuation from the Eagle Line facility in San Jose that we got news on last week. Otherwise, I don't see anything fresh here. So perhaps just a little continuation. Quick peek at the short interest, 12.44% of the float shorted with 4.82 days to cover. So this some short interest on there, but maybe not huge. On average, this trades 18 million shares, done 2.3 million here today, and the float much, much thicker on this name at just shy of 500 million. 13, do you have any updated thoughts here on QS?
This looks like it's trying to recapture 975. Not having the greatest time doing it. I think that would be the level I'd be keeping an eye on for a recapture. If we get that and hold above it, then I think we could see 10.
Okay, we'll see if we get our curl to start here. 13, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this trend line. We'll see if we get above that. Something else to think about, but good stuff there on QS. Now, did you have anything else on your list here that we should, I guess we should probably take a look at LIMN because there were a number of folks that were trading this last week. Now, this really fell off on Friday in the after hours. This had a big run pretty much all week. This is a multi-day runner. Really traded down in the afternoon, and it was mixed in with a pop to new week highs before we really kind of reversed. Now, we traded back up here in the pre-market. We're basically right around the round 2 number. I didn't see any news on this. Did I get that right? Yeah. I don't see any fresh news on this one here today. So, all right. Short interest on this, I got nothing. I got very, very little, literally 68,000 shares held short, 1 day to cover. Man, oh man, nothing here. On average, 5.25 million shares trade. 6.6 have traded here today. 13, what do you think on LIMN? And anyone that traded this last week, are you still in it? Are you looking for more here today? Did you take gains? Where are you at with it? 13, what do you got for us?
So just looking through some of the news history here, this thing is still facing NASDAQ compliance and delisting. So I think that would be the thing I'd be looking into. How have they managed that? Because one of the things that they got the delinquency notice for was their filing, the delayed filing from their June quarterly report. So I don't, I'd have to look and see if that ended up getting resolved or not. I don't think it did, but they did end up signing a memorandum of understanding for 30 million equity financing in October. I still think they need to. I don't think they're done with their NASDAQ, delisting notice or delinquency. So I get the sense that this is still in the process of trying to recover from that. And if that's the case, then they're probably going to either raise more capital or maybe perform a reverse split. I can't say for sure. I've just started looking at this, and I don't know what they've done already. I'd have to see what they've done so far. But that would be some of the things I'd be concerned about is diluting their shares after they consolidate them. But it looks like it's trying to trade up higher here. You might see maybe 240 today.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's kind of what I've got just by quickly looking at this.
Yeah, to me, this is really going to need to have its volume step up if we're going to make any of those levels. Yeah. We'll see if that plays out here, but a good breakdown. Okay, I don't have anything else on the list. Do you that I missed here?
No, I've been seeing folks looking at or wanting us to look at some others stuff. So perfect. I'm ready to go with that.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and do that. We've got 11 minutes till we open here. This is great. I think we've been doing great on time here. We should be able to cover a lot of this. The 3 tickers that I had here was Lilly, Broadcom, and Chipotle. I think we can start with those. 13, is there any one of those charts that you'd like me to pull up first while I take a step away?
We can start in order.
All right, let's do Lilly here first. Now, again, one of the other things that I reported here this morning is that Hims is in trouble. A Super Bowl ad that people are questioning how good the test is, and they had their pill, their GLP-1 Wegovy pill. It looks like that's not going to happen here. Lilly should be the beneficiary of this. 13, I've got Lilly up here by 1.6% and kind of trading sideways. What say you on this Lilly chart? And I'll be right back.
All right. So I guess they had some news recently, today, about how they are picking up some kind of small biotech company for 2.4 billion. Orna Therapeutics. I don't know what exactly they do, but it's enough to drop a large amount of money on them, as they think that could be the future. Looking at this daily chart, though, I'm a little concerned about this topping out that we've experienced since November, really. Kind of gone sideways, having a really tough time getting much higher than 11, what is this, like 1120, 1,120. So it looks to me like this could end up coming back in if we cannot hold above the 50 and 20-day SMAs. We are, what is the current price right now? We are currently at 1076, right? So we are we're pretty well above that right now. But it looks like this is an area where there's a lot of selling pressure that steps in. We can see that since November. Since pretty much November, but really in December. Every time we tried in late December, tried to break through that, what is this, about 1085 area, we just get rejected, and we don't spend more than a couple of days above there. So would need to see multiple closes above, I would say 1080, 1085. We haven't gotten more than, it looks like, one or two closes above that 1080 level. So I think that's what I would need to see here if I was going to, want to take a long position. I would need to see some consistent closing above 1080.
Okay, so you're thinking in order for us to get that 1100 breakout, 1080 seems to be a key spot there.
Yeah, you can see just from all that, especially in December.
It's as clear as day.
Yeah, especially in that December area where it was trying to break through it, and it just failed at the beginning of the year. And then we had a pretty decent volume day that took us back up. But again, not able to hold for more than a couple of days above that 1080. So that's where I would be looking at to hold above 1080 for a couple of more days.
Really quick, I'm going to date you a little bit here, but answer me honestly. Do you remember the game 1080 Snowboarding from the Nintendo 64?
Yes, I do. People thought that was going to be the replacement for Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It wasn't.
It was not, but it was a fun game, was it not? And every time I hear 1080, I think about that because my childhood is hardwired into my brain in such a way that that's how it works.
I had Nintendo 64 as well, sir.
I thought that you might. Okay, really good stuff there on Lilly. Next, we'll do Broadcom. Where's Jay Harris? I know he's excited. Somebody else was actually asking about Broadcom too, but here we go. Broadcom down 1.15% here in the pre-market, basically sitting right at that 330 level. What's interesting about this is that we had a number of things happening recently. This 333, this is where we had, I think this is basically a trend line, right? Like, yeah, it's not a horizontal line. It's got a slight upslope. It marks highs and then support areas that got retested here. We're basically battling that right now. We're also battling the 20-day moving average. That's at 331.86. We're currently at 329, so I would want to see us move above that. This is following a pretty nice technical clean bounce off of the 200-day. Also, if I did not give you enough stuff yet, we also have a fib level right in here that we are interacting with. Now, this fib level, the actual value here is going to be 332.37. So there's a lot of stuff right here. There's also a very high volume node right above us. I would say this here on Broadcom. Over the next week or two, this thing's going to need to pick a direction here because we're either going to break down from this 200-day, we're going to pop above this trend line and then maybe make a run towards this 350, dare I say it, all-time highs here. 13, what do you think here on Broadcom, and what key levels are you looking for?
The key levels, moving averages aside, because I think you pointed those out exactly how I would. The 20-day SMA, we need to get above that and stay above it. The
Indeed.
200-day SMA, we need to hold above that, and that 50-day SMA is right in the area where I think we see the largest zone of resistance at 350. So you have the 50-day SMA at 350. That 350 area on its own is a support and resistance area. So that's kind of, I agree. It does need to choose a direction. And if it chooses up, then it's going to go through 350. That if it goes down, then we're going to, I think we're going to fall through the 200. I think you pointed that out. So right now it looks like we're kind of stuck between 300 and 350 with, keeping an eye on 325 as a potential indicator of us breaking down to 300.
So dare I say that we're in no man's land here?
Yeah, it's probably going to need some kind of news to get this going.
Yeah.
And we have, we've got a lot of data driven headlines coming up this week. We have CPI. So I'm trying to think of, we have some other ones as well, but I think that's going to basically determine the market's direction this week is the data that we're getting and headlines as well. So depending on how those go, it's going to send the stock in that direction or the other. I just can't say which way it's going to go at this stage. It still looks to me like this could go lower, especially if we can't get back above the 20-day SMA and hold it.
Okay. All right. Broadcom. There we go. Next here is Chipotle. And then, yes, I think we can squeeze in STM here. 13. We're going to try and squeeze two stocks in here. We got 4 minutes to do it. All right. You think we can do that?
Yeah, let's try.
Bang. Here's Chipotle. First of all, the noob. I had asked you yesterday, week, when they reported earnings, I said that, man, you were going to have to go out there and do your part. Well, you'll be happy to know that I did my part too. On Thursday, I got a Chipotle burrito, and I will carve out a day to do that again this week here. Now, all jokes aside, Chipotle, we talked about this really kind of recovering the gap. It did that. It did not quite move to its 200 here. The good news here on Chipotle is that even with the recent pullback here, we basically caught it right at the 100 and right at the 50, which were sitting on top of each other. That value here is 37.5. That's the key level to the downside. We're currently at 39.5. I'd love to see this take out 39.69, which is the 20-day. I think if it does that, it's all signs are a go up to 43. I have not felt that way about Chipotle for some time, but I feel like the bottom is in here and now might start to turn around. So let's see if we can close above 39.69. That should pave the way to 43. 13, what do you think here, CMG?
Gosh, I know we're pressed for time here. So that 20-day SMA, that's initially started, when I looked at it just now, it started concerning me that if we can't get above it, we're going to come back down and test this 50 again. That 50 has been giving us some good support over the past week. So it was good to see that. But when I switch over to a monthly chart for Chipotle, I get a little bit more bearish. Now, now the point you said about the 43, well, that's where that's just a little bit above the 50-month SMA. So I'm kind of inclined to think that we might end up seeing a attempt to get up there, but I don't know that we're going to start closing above above that 50-day SMA. This also looks bearish to me. This whole formation on the monthly chart. So if we get, like, I don't know that it'll happen this month, but maybe next month if we continue to get a rejection, from the $40 level, then I think we can come back in some more. Okay, so just something to look towards here with Chipotle. Need to get above 40 and hold it.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. I think it will. We'll see if it has the strength. Okay, here's STM. We'll have to be quick. The market is about to open. The one thing I noticed here is we're actually starting to see some more buying volume on STM. So we're above several of these moving averages. We'll see if we can punch through the 500. I've currently got that at 30.25 here today. If I zoom out a little bit more, this gives you an idea of where the volume shelves are. We're actually approaching the high end of that. I got a really good breakout spot here at about $34, and we have a potential gap fill up to near 40 on STM. So if we can take out this 500 here, giddy up. You might have a swing trade on your hand. 13, what say you?
So yeah, I like all that with the daily chart, the 500, getting above that and holding above it is we need to do. So this being the first day above it in a while, we need to continue to hold above that. Looking at a longer term chart, I think that's even more appealing. Monthly, this has been since summer, really. It's been trying to get above the 20-month SMA. It finally did in January. And now we are in our second month trading above that SMA, looking to hit the 15-month SMA, which is at 36.06. But look at this support it got from the 200-month SMA down around 20. This looks pretty good to me, and it's coming up to a it's actually at a resistance area right now. If you look at the summer of 2022, that provided some resistance. I think if we can continue to get up there, we're going to see that 50-month SMA, but I don't know that we're going to get through it or not.
Okay, really good stuff. And you did it before the bell. Flipping over to my main workspace. We're ready to go, folks.
Let's go.
Well done, 13.
All right.
Did you know that today is the most called in day of the year? And we're both here with our community. You guys are absolutely crushing it. We've got Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. We're streaming too. Hit that like and subscribe. Market's open. Let's go, folks. Let's go. BFRI, this was a stock that got mentioned by Cam earlier. This is a stock that was in penny territory that very quickly flirted with dollar territory, but let's see. I don't feel great about that.
Momentous trying to push up out of the gate here.
SMCI, a little bit of a dip there out of the open. RITR, this is one of our movers here. Let's see what that's doing. Nothing yet. Playboy, how we doing there? That's pulling back. Let's see if it holds 190.
Playboy's trying to recapture the V-up right now. Momentous also trying to recapture the V-up. It popped above it. Now it's losing it. UOKA, this very low float, is getting some price action here, coming up to the resistance area around 245, 250. There's a seller in the way. Volume increases here. We could see it go higher. Just be careful with this one. Very low float.
Google down out of the open. Good call there on UOKA. Kathy mentioning QS, which we did talk about earlier in the news section, Kathy. For anyone that's interested in that, here is the, where was that? Where was that? I don't have it handy here. We did take a look at QS a little bit earlier. Here's where it's at the 65. Oh, just broke it. Never mind. Never mind.
All right, you were just talking about QS losing the 65 EMA. Let's see what else is happening here. Momentous couldn't get above the VWAP. Looks like everything's kind of coming in, except UOKA. That's ripping. Okay, it's gonna halt.
Okay, let me put that on screen here. I'm sorry, I'm doing a poor job here. Here's UOKA. I'm not in this, by the way, not trading this one. But good stuff there. Anyone that was on this, here we are, halt to the upside. This actually moved right above that pre-market high. That was awesome. By the way, really quickly here, ORCX, for any of you that are looking for a potential Oracle bounce, if you're looking to trade it rather than hold it, ORCX, one that you should take a look at. I actually scalped this right out of the open here. I think Oracle bounces. Call me crazy, but I think it bounces. So I'm going to be looking at ORCX here. Back and forth trades. Won't hold it overnight, though. At least not for me.
Looks like Momentous is trying to get up to 8. There's a seller there.
I think you might be right on that, too. Pain Pal, more lows here. We actually broke 30 to the downside.
Playboy is trying to recapture VWAP.
BY. Tell you what, that Momentous, that move up to 8 on Momentous, that would be an interesting one, 13.
Yeah, and you can see the seller right there. They're going right to him. Let's see if he gets taken out.
They sure are here. Let's see on Momentous.
Just be careful, because that's where we saw a rejection earlier in the pre-market. So we're going to need to see this volume continue to expand through 8. They're hitting it right now.
There's 8 right there. There's your 8 test here. Let's see if we actually get through it. You think it's got the strength to do that? Let's watch this one. I can go back to Playboy here. Let's see what we do on 8 here on Momentous.
Yeah, it looks like Space Stock's having a good morning. Redwire is also up a few percent. Let me look at some of these other ones here.
Sorry, I missed this here real quick. I'm not here to argue facts. MNTS 5-minute orb question mark. So you think you were going to have an opening range breakout? I think that's actually what we're looking for here on 8. No. And then G-Man here saying Momentous, I have some resistance levels 792 and 850. So I think that 792, we can probably blend that with 8. Looks like we're getting rejected here. 750 is going to be your VWAP. You'd want that to hold here for sure. We'll see on Momentous. Let me know what you guys think if we test 8 here on Momentous. Oh, looks like it's breaking down here. Let's see if the VWAP can catch it. UOKA, we still halted on that one. Did you guys take this into the halt? Or were you out
No.
on that impulse move higher?
Oh, you're asking. I thought you
I'm
were
asking
reading.
just the broader group here. STM. This is one of the stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at here. This actually looks like this might try and take out that pre-market high there. Interesting. Interesting. Val getting mentioned here. That's VAL, Valaris. This actually looks like it might be trying to take out the pre-market high. The company announced it will be acquired by Transocean.
Kathy mentioning feed. I know it was gone a little bit last week, but apparently this hasn't left. Let's see what we got going on here intraday.
So yeah, this is, what's the buyout price there on Val? That one, that's interesting. Which one were you looking at? Sorry,
Kathy's on feed right now.
Okay,
Looks
that
like
was big one from last week.
Yeah, it looks like 320 is the current resistance right now. If I'm looking at the a smaller time frame chart under a day, and looking at all the regular session and pre-market and after hours, that's I think 320 is the current spot right now. And if we get through that, 340 might be the next big resistance area. There's a lot of consolidation in the after hours on Friday between 320 and 340. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay, feed on a possible 320 break. We'll see if we get that. QS is another one that we're looking at. That keeps coming in here. Kathy, you were asking about QS earlier. Do you like this pre-market support, or do you like this maybe at 875 down towards that 200 EMA? Oracle, so that's still Oracle's still going higher here. Maybe I got out of that scalp a little early. IGV, which you guys asked about, dip and rip here. Remember, 3 components report this week. IGV.
I think line is a DFNS. I think that's another defense ETF, right? No, it's not. It's T3 Defense.
T3 Defense. I wonder if our T3 trading folks like this name or not. I'm just goofing around here. Lion, do you like that one? Tom says feed does the same thing every morning. It runs up 25 cents and then it comes back down. Well, Tom, you know how to play that, don't you?
All right.
Unity, this is one of those stocks that reports this week. That's part of IGV. That report is Wednesday before the market opens, by the way. UAA 13. I know you talked about this one a little bit. Looks like we're going to try and make some new highs here.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that. I think I mentioned it in Happy Hour on Wednesday, and then on Friday, I think they reported earnings, right? Or was it Thursday? It was last week. They reported earnings, and they took off. So they were up like 20%.
Jay here mentioning that Apple is weak here today. Indeed, Apple is actually ex-dividend today, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you're going to have the dividend players in there. Let's see here on Apple. Let me get that for you and make sure I'm giving you correct stuff there. Apple dividend. Yeah, today, February 9th. It's X date here. Apple's X dividend date is today, February 9th. So that's what's going on here with Apple. Jay had mentioned here, Apple was weak, NVIDIA is strong. So names that were beaten down are also strong. And actually, speaking of Jay mentioning NVIDIA here, NVIDIA at the highs, also seeing some call flow here on NVIDIA. No trade for me. It looks like these are folks going after calls that expire today. So this is like there's some zero DTE trading in NVIDIA to the upside here.
Take care, Wisdom. Have a good one. And Lions telling us, NUKK is now the one that's DFNS. So they got a ticker change.
Oh, okay. So NUKK was a ticker change to DFNS. Got it. That's okay. So, and he liked that before.
UOKA unhalted, went higher and then halted, but it tested the VWAP first. Momentous struggled with 8, came back in, not breaking down yet, but it is beneath the VWAP again.
Okay, here's Momentous. So is this a VWAP ad here?
I mean, your VWAP might be different than mine. Mine's currently the price underneath my VWAP.
Yeah, I'm just saying, sorry, the battle at this VWAP area, is this a potential support here? We shall see.
Well, right now it's looking like a rejection area. Let's see here. I mean, I think the support's probably closer to 7.
I was going to say, it looks to me like next here, if we can't recapture this pullback here, maybe trapped some of those folks trying to trade up towards 8 that we were talking about. Let's see if we can recapture the VWAP here. That's why I was asking, do we like this now that it's pulled, since it really hasn't broken down? That's kind of what I'm wondering. We can give it some time. We don't necessarily need to do it right now. Jay mentioning the Oracle big bounce. Looks like I was out of that one a little too early. ORCL is the underlying. ORCX is the levered ETF that makes for a pretty good bounce. Damn. Yeah, damn. I probably could have got another 70 cents on this one if I had just held it there, Jay. That's okay. That's okay. It's early in the day. Ryan here asking, is there any reason for the Micron drop? So, Ryan, I covered this during the news phase here. Let me drop the news in here. 13, go ahead.
Oh, I said yes because I think it was Samsung. Yeah, okay, you got it right there.
Yep, right here.
So there you go.
So really quickly here, the HM, this is the high bandwidth memory. Micron is being cut out of this. NVIDIA says it's going to use SK Hynix and Samsung, and Micron is no longer in the mix. That's your TLDR about what's going on here with Micron today.
And that could change too. I think it's just a matter of production capacity. So with Micron having more fabs come online over the next couple of years, they may get considered again. But for now, no, I think that's what's going to pull Micron down, and it needed it badly.
And really quick here, folks, NVIDIA, this is still at the highs. Jay, this was a really good mention here. NVIDIA is at the highs, and I'm actually seeing a lot of call trading on this. Now, here's some in March, so it looks like it's more than just the 0 DTE traders, but there was quite a bit there on NVIDIA.
Micron looks like it could be short-term bearish on the daily chart. We are now trade. This is going to be the 4th day. If we close around here, it's going to be the 4th day we close underneath the 20-day SMA. This looks like a bear flag. I think the support, the spot we're going to want to watch for is 360. That looks like we could, if we break down from there, we could end up heading to the 50-day SMA.
Okay, so then my question for you on the analysis here of the Micron chart is MUD the play? Because that's what we had looked at the last time that we were talking about this.
I would think so.
Okay.
So unless there's some kind of news or something that comes out that turns us around for Micron, 360 is the next support that I have here. And then you have some consolidation underneath that. And then you have the 50-day SMA. So those next 3 areas I would be looking at for support.
And by the way, quick check in here on SanDisk. This also down here. Jay saying those winners are getting sold a bit here, Micron and SanDisk, versus the laggards like Broadcom, Oracle, and even Roblox. Now, we took a look at the Broadcom chart there. We had said that this is really going to have to pick a direction. Looks like at least today here, straight up. So 340 getting taken here. This is Broadcom.
All right.
LIMN, that was one of our movers here, Kathy. Let me bring that up here on screen. Here's LIMN. Looks like we're trying to take out the pre-market high.
And I'm sorry, Micron didn't have 3 consecutive closes underneath the 20-day SMA. It's just got 2. So today would be the 3rd.
And the American Nightmare is asking, what does it mean the other shoe to drop, Ryan? Well, that's what I'm thinking here is this the week where the market has that other shoe to drop, whether it's a good or a bad shoe? Do we get more, threats and solidified stuff with the Iran conflict that kind of weighed over the weekend? Do we have corporate earnings beat more than they've been beating? They've been good so far, but they haven't been great. And it feels like the market really kind of needed that to be great. So my thought here was this week, do we get resolution of any of that? Do we get more finality on Iran? Do we get better earnings reports here that help the market pick its next direction?
Kathy is mentioning LIMN. This is continuing higher.
Got it on screen. Going right through the pre-market right now.
Yeah, facing some resistance right now. There's a seller in the way at 230 as well.
Okay, and then you guys are also mentioning UOKA here.
That's still okay. So it just went to 420. This is, we said we could see this with the low floats, but just be careful with this one if you're trading it. This is going to, when this starts selling, it's going to happen fast because of how low the float is.
C Spot says there's no way this lasts, folks. For UOKA, this so far, I know there's some mixed feelings, if you will, about some of the junkier stocks, and I think that that's probably well and good. But this one here so far seems to be one of the movers of the day here. Didn't trade this one myself, but grats if you had it. Register ring for you if you had it.
Yep, and looks like we're getting a little bit of selling now. Hasn't gone into a halt since hitting 420, so hasn't met that volatility criteria. We're getting some more weakness here in IRTR. Playboy is still kind of going sideways, but it's struggling to get to hold above 2. QuantumScape, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Lunar, this is Intuitive Machines. You had talked earlier about the space plays. Yeah. Lunar here, good mention from Kathy. This looks like it's testing 20 here, so Lunar's trying to trade up out of the gate. By the way, I know I asked you 13, but I do see mud now on the relative volume scanner. Actually, it looks like this is choppy here, so maybe no clear direction there on mud. That's the inverse Micron ETF, by the way.
If Lunar can close up here where it's at now, that'd be a nice recapture of the 20-day SMA. Still has to get above 20. That's a big level here for this company. But if it does, you might see some even further upside. I don't know if they've got a launch coming up or if there's something else that's driving this. I haven't looked at the news in this one for a while. Okay, so it looks like they had some kind of selection from NASA. They're going to use Intuitive Machines to support tracking for Artemis 2. That came, that was news from last month, though. So don't see anything recent here today. I think it's just going with the theme. And there's also some pretty high short interest as well. Days to cover doesn't meet our criteria, but the short interest does. 20% of the float is shorted. Probably seeing a little bit of that here today, too. TSM is a beast today. I saw that they were in the news. I think they were saying no to moving 40% of the
this is TSM.
Yeah, they said no to moving 40% of the chip production to the US because that would have been an expensive endeavor. So I think that's why it's trading.
Yeah, they said that was impossible.
Impossible. Yeah.
By the way, Ondas, so 1022, we talked about that, really trying to reclaim the 50-day moving average. Look at my broker here. I've got that at 1033. So Ondas up towards that area, but cannot trade above it and hold above it yet. We'll see if that changes. Buffalo by Bicycle is mentioning that CoreWeave is having a good day here today. CoreWeave up nearly 5%.
Pretty Panda. I think it's the board that's pimping it because they approved a $10 million share repurchase program. So that's the news today. That's why it's up. Big board, big pimping, 10 million share repurchase program.
Here's Reddit, by the way. This was another stock that was pretty beaten down on Friday. It actually looks like this is attempting to bounce here now. That's RDDT.
Playboy just had a spike.
Someone was asking for Playboy levels, so maybe we should do that.
It's looking like it's trying to get over 215 right now. There's a seller in the way. There's some sellers above him as well, all the way up to 230. But this is the spot that it's been trying to get over here all morning in the pre-market and now in the regular session. You can see just from the price action, this is where the resistance has been. We need to start seeing some closes over 215, or we're going to come back in.
Okay, so 215, whoever was asking about Playboy levels there, 215, I don't know that we necessarily have a price target per se here, but 215 looks to be one of those levels, probably 220 as well. And then also here, Daniel saying with UOKA down, watch for MNTS volume transfer. So you're thinking you're going to have some of those UOKA traders into MNTS. This is still battling at its VWAP.
We saw that earlier when UOKA went into its first halt. It was very noticeable how a lot of other volume started to shift to the upside in some of these other movers that we were looking at. Momentous had it. I think Playboy and there was another one that had it as well. Can't think of I remember what it was, but it was noticeable. They started moving it from UOKA to the other ones.
Okay, MNTS here. I'm not here to argue facts. Says MNTS 15-minute orb, I guess. So you're waiting for the first 50. We've already got approaching the first 20 minutes here of the market. This one might just be a kind of a failed breakout there. Looks like maybe that 8 resistance served as that resistance. We'll see. We've got some more time here on MNTS.
Mo, if you're talking about what was the one we were just looking at? Playboy. Yes, that's true because there's the resistance is heavy up there. We've only printed like as high as 112 now in this regular session. 214, but we haven't been able to close above it because that's where the resistance is. It keeps pushing the price back down. And if you have a price ladder, you can see how the concentration of sellers at 215 is larger than anywhere else right now. So that's why we're saying we need to see this take out 215 and start closing above it.
Okay, we'll see if we get that here on Playboy, PLBY. And then several of you folks are mentioning that the memory names are now ripping higher. So we had that. So here's Micron. So this is down 1.85%. But indeed, this did reverse off that 372. Did we get the same thing here in SanDisk and some of those other ones? Yes, SanDisk actually red to green move here. So maybe that's setting up for Micron possibly doing red to green.
Kate Kilborn, if you're a pro subscriber, you'll see a link at the bottom of the page Monday through Thursday. There's a teal banner. You can
the banner pops up at the bottom of pro. You have to be a pro subscriber. That might be. Yeah. I think Corey is, though. I can't remember exactly. I can never remember exactly from the morning show to the afternoon show. Keep
an eye on STM. We were just looking at that not too long ago. It's got a pretty decent setup, and if we can just get back over VWAP, I think we can get over 3250. You just need to start closing over VWAP. It's got a pretty good setup here. Like it's got a bull flag setup, so we could see this movement here. We just need that volume component to take us over VWAP in that 3250 area.
Ryan here says, Ryan, I'm interested to know how you've been adding to your crypto recently or how you've been feeling about ETH. Okay, I'll take the second part first. My feelings about ETH are a long-term view. So although the price action has been quite poor, there's really no way to get around it. I stake all my Ethereum anyway, so I just kind of let it do its thing. So these movements back and forth, I generally don't think too much of it. Now, as far as the first part of your question there regarding the Bitcoin ad, I had told you guys that I had a Bitcoin ad at 70K, good till cancel order. It was only $500, so it's not as if I'm out here spending a lot, but I did convert 500 more USD to Bitcoin. I'm thinking that maybe this 60-65 area, we kind of chop around a little bit, and maybe we even print some of those lows again. So I would be a little bit conservative here on some of those ads. I'm looking for us to hold this area, though. Have not felt confident about any crypto to really convert more USD into that crypto. I'd love to get your opinion, Ryan. Day trader, I've been asking you what feels like every day, what you think about some of these other crypto names in the crypto sell-off, and really anyone else that has price targets, ad levels, or plans for crypto. Let's hear it. I'm doing kind of a slow and steady approach, I would say, Ryan. And I'm not holding any of the tickers. So Retro here talking about ETHA. This is one that I tried to trade before, took a loss on this. This got absolutely smoked. And then also, I talked to a couple of my other trader buddies. I mentioned at the beginning, folks that generally don't like Bitcoin were all of a sudden buying Bitcoin. And some of the things they bought were ETHU, which is going to be one of the ETFs, the levered Ether ETFs. I'm not in this myself, but I know people that hate Bitcoin that are buying it. And then also the other one that I think you guys will get excited about, SOLT. This is the Solana 2X ETF. So this actually might make for a decent trade as well.
Come on,
Stake stable coins on Kraken because you can get a better APY than the Ethereum. So that is like 3 times the Ethereum APY. You're right about that, but I don't have like a bunch of different crypto accounts. I've just got one in Coinbase that I've been using. But that might be something that I have to do to kind of diversify. Not doing that at the moment, though.
Netflix getting battered.
Hey, real quick. You guys are talking about Playboy here. It's 13. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'll go to you here in a sec. You guys are talking about Playboy here today. My producer is telling me that we are going to have a Playboy interview tomorrow. So just FYI. We're going to
Really?
be running a Playboy interview tomorrow. Yeah.
With who?
Ben Cohn. Don't get excited.
Oh. Yeah.
13.
I'll catch the transcripts
13
then.
just trying to put me on the spot right there. Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. 13's a G.
UOKA still coming in a little bit now, but still above its VWAP. RITR, this now getting some of the most movement it's had all morning since the open. Still struggling with the 106, 105, 106 area. There's a seller in the way at 106 as well. Big seller at 119.
Okay, we'll see if UOKA comes all the way back in. HIMZ, this is the HIMZ ETF. No bueno. Yeah. Hey, look, Tess, I tried. 13 set me up for failure right there. I don't know what to say. And MNTS, what do we think? Are we done here? Did we break down? Are we done here? It did hold 7, but it's kind of looking weak here. Volume's not really looking all that great. What do we think here, MNTS, guys?
MNTS. Okay, so that candle we just had lost a support area.
Yeah. I'm thinking 675. This is going to be our 200 EMA.
675 is a 65 EMA on the 5.
Excuse me. It's my fault, 13. My fault, 13. I'm trying to read the chat at the same time. That never goes well. I'm not here to argue facts. Says MNTS has got to hold that 715. All right, there's your drop dead spot. Looks like it is trying to bounce here from 7. Maybe that seller is exhausted. I don't know. Doesn't feel great.
No, volume has been waning. So until we get an increase of that volume, it's probably going to come down to our 65 EMA. So need to see that volume step up. Okay, so MNTS got a hold 715. Yeah, I agree with that.
Day Trader says I'm more active with equities and options. Okay, so you're not necessarily trading the crypto move down. Let me ask you, the equities and options, are you trading any crypto related ones, or are those just stock related on that?
STM is back over its VWAP. We might be getting a resolution. We might be getting a resolution here of that bull flag I was pointing out a little bit ago. Need to see better volume than this if we're going to break out over 3250, though. We really need to see the volumes expand here. It's looking, good sign, but we need to see that volume pick up. All right, what else is
Corey here saying Tom Lee says BM&R predicting Ethereum to hit 7 to 9K this year. That puts BM&R over 100 most likely. I still think it's likely a buy the dip. Just be careful with that. Yeah, Tom Lee, I know he's down a lot on that. I know a lot of people are making a big deal about that. Just have a plan, right? I don't know that you're going to be able to stay solvent like Mr. Lee in that long-term approach. Just be careful with adding stuff on that's extremely weak. I don't know. I mean, you guys let me know what you think your Ethereum price target is. Maybe we can pull that.
BM&R is coming down to a pretty thick consolidation area. I wonder if we get support in there or at the bottom of that. So maybe $10 to $15 is where you get the biggest area of support.
Look at feed. Look at feed. You guys that are on feed here, what a breakout through 320. Someone here mentioned 320 as being the spot there on feed. Boy, oh boy. You got to break out with the volume through that spot. Now we're into the candle from the after hours. This candle does not top out till 380. So I do think 380 is possible here on this move. Grats to anyone in feed. Kathy, good stuff.
Great job, Kathy. And we are coming up to some early resistance areas around 355. I think we'll get through that. 375 next resistance. I have a historical resistance level at 4. Sellers start to pick up here as soon as we get into the 368 area. Nice trade. We're still waiting for STM to do something like that. Need to see the volume expand there. RITR is actually getting some expansion here. Seller in the way at 119.
Let me, sorry, I misclicked that. Here we go. Here's RITR. This was the one that this was the penny stock. So it did hold on to $1. Okay, so that's what it did. It held on to $1. Now it's trying to go back to VWAP.
Yeah, now it's coming up to the resistance it was getting earlier this morning around the 119, 120 area. You can see in the pre-market where that area is. as soon as it was realized we couldn't get back above VWAP, we lost that area and drifted lower. Now we're coming back up to take that out. We need to see an expansion of volume to take out the seller at 119 though.
Glenn, out the Ondas news scalp, 64 cents. Nice job. I think you're probably trying to trade that before it maybe pulls back, which we've seen when it releases some news. Remember the overall thought there, that news is probably pretty good long term, but this RITR still maybe going back to its VWAP there. G-Man saying MNTS looks so weak, there's no volume. It's all going to be about the volume, right? If we don't get that volume, think this probably retest 7, might even go beneath it. 675 is your 200 EMA. We really want to see that volume show up first.
Yep. And let's see. There's Deswan wants to know about Paladine, PDYN. I think that's what Paladine is. Yes, Paladine. This was a mover last week, I think. No, I'm sorry. Maybe in January, at the end of January. That's the last big volume candle I see. I remember this being in the news recently. So let's see here. Oops, let me go to a different chart. Looks like the 200-day SMA is the big area it needs to get back above here. And, oops, no, PDY, I'm sorry.
Here's the daily chart. I've got it on the screen for you.
Okay. So the 200-day SMA, that's the big level we need to get over. That one day we had that big volume. We went as high almost to 10 and came right back underneath the 200-day SMA. Only one other day since then, February 3rd, we popped above it and came right back beneath it the next day. So with looking at that and looking at the areas that it hasn't seen a close above, which is 8 recently, since November, I think that if we do get above the 200-day SMA, we have to get above 8 because I don't think that the close above the 200-day SMA is going to be enough. We got to get above 8. Momentum's breaking down now. Looks like this is getting walked down to 7.
Okay, so watch 7 here. If we break, this probably goes to 675, don't we think? MNTS. I think at this point, if you guys are looking to trade this, I think at this point, one of the things you could probably do, just wait for it to firm up, right? Don't even try to catch some of these support areas. There it goes, right through 7. So I know it's battling here, but it actually just lost that. I think you could probably wait this one out. Wait and until it firms up, if it does.
Take your line. Izzy wants Amazon levels. Oops.
I'll go to the big chart for Amazon here.
Okay. G-Man said that ONBS just broke the 1033.50 SMA, and Izzy also wanted to look at Lunar. I'll look at Lunar in a second here, and we'll also look at Val.
I see why he's asking about Amazon. This is right at that 500-day, 500 SMA. Excuse me. This is right there at 205. We're basically testing it as we speak.
All right. So we are. That is a big move down in a short period of time. That's like over 18, almost 19% since the start of the month. I do like that 500-day SMA that provided support the last time it was down here in April. That was the Liberation Day unwind, and it didn't look back after that until today. So if we are going to lose this level, we have support underneath the 500-day SMA. Looks like 200. That's from the highs from June of 2024. And then there's a consolidation area between 180 and I want to say 193 that might also provide some support. I don't know which one of those is going to kick in. I'd be looking towards the 200 first, the $200 psychological level first. And we also need to see a recapture and hold above the 500-day SMA. With the RSI as low as it is, I don't think it's gonna be down here for too long. The RSI doesn't typically get this overdone. Last time it was the yen carry trade unwind. Actually, we got this low.
Really quick, remember we covered this in the news section of today's program. Futurum Group CEO Daniel Newman said Amazon is one of their, quote, best ideas for 2026, acknowledging a choppy start there. But Izzy, this would just lead to a better entry, right? Projects Amazon Web Services growth could double to 38% in 2026, up from an estimated 19% in 2025. That would have Amazon higher than 200 here, in my opinion.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I threw that link in the chat for anyone that wants it.
And that sounds great. And I certainly think that could be the case. My question is if Amazon's going to be able to do that, aren't some of these other cloud services companies going to be able to do that too? Like, Microsoft and Google. I mean, their revenue is certainly going to rise as well, right? I'd have to think that they will.
Yeah, I would have to think that they will too. And this Microsoft looks like this closed the gap and bounced. Folks, a producer, can you confirm if this is the case? Shady is saying that we are still under 100 likes. We have 400 people here on YouTube alone, plus like another 1,000 on Twitter. How are we under 100 likes? Producer, confirm if this is the case. I'll take 13 and I off the screen and they can just enjoy the sweet sounds of the chart.
To recap some of these movers here, UOKA, this is what we warned against. This coming back in down to some of the highs of the pre-market now. So that's that one. Momentous, this is trying to get recapture 7. Seller in the way now that's been walking the price down. Until he goes away, I think we could still see some lower prints here in the regular session. I'm sorry, RITR on the other hand, this is starting to climb a little bit higher. Hasn't gotten past that 119 area I pointed out earlier, but it is still making some higher prints in the regular session. Playboy still having a hard time with that 215 area, not able to get up to it. Looks like this is starting to roll over as well, but get the sense that this is not done and it might come back later on in the afternoon, because that news was actually pretty good. Okay. So I don't think that this might not be done, but for the morning it could be. So maybe keep this on your radar for later if you're still trading.
Real quick here, thank you guys for at least getting us above 100. Looks like we were at to 128. Producer, confirm that for me still when you can. Thank you, Sam King, the official. Thank you for the like. We appreciate that. Okay, and then what else? Retro here saying Nvidia and Palantir look like they took their little blue pills here today. All right, Retro. Family show here, but Palantir indeed at the highs here. This kind of goes back to Jay's theme about some of these stocks that were beaten down recently seem to be outperforming today. Sorry, 13. What do you got?
Some of the other ones we needed to cover too. So Val, there's no trade here. This is getting picked up by Transoceans. This is a buyout. I don't think there's really anything here we can do.
Yeah, and you know what? I blame myself for this one. I'm sorry we didn't cover this here this morning in the rundown. Normally we do that. This did have a little bit of movement, but I agree with 13 with the buyout here. This is probably done. There's better stuff out there.
All right, and then let me go real quick to Lunar for Izzy real quick.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're back. We're still above the 20-day SMA. I think the big level for me is going to be 20. It seems like this stock interacts very well with in terms of getting support and resistance every $5. So if you put a horizontal line at like 10, 15, 20, 25, you'll be kind of surprised to see how well behaved the stock reacts at those psychological levels at every $5. So I would at the very least do that because $20 we've gotten support and resistance from that. I think that could be the next area we need to clear if we're going to go higher.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there on Lunar. Thank you guys for getting us above 150. Appreciate it. Thinking about it here, he's got his eyes on a lot of stuff and it looks Bitcoin related. We'll start here with IREN. Here is IREN. So it looks like a little bit of a reversal. And thinking about it, this is a good mention. $44 looks to be the key level here today. This represents Friday's intraday high. We'll see if IREN can continue. A quick check at the Bitcoin futures chart. It appears as if we're trying to recapture 70K on the Bitcoin price as we speak.
STM, the one that you folks brought up to us earlier, and I was saying that looks like it has a bull flag, and we need to get a VWAP and all this and that. Yep. So here we go. This is taking off now. I don't remember if I said there was a specific level we needed to hit. I don't think I did, but this is the resolution we wanted to see from that pattern. So congratulations if you had this and you took that trade. This worked out pretty well, it looks like.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like STM is going really quickly. CIFR, this is another one that thinking about it had his eyes on here. This is going to be in that Bitcoin theme as well. This is Cypher Mining. This is up here at the highs above Friday's highs, and BITF was the other one. Not ones we looked at here thinking about it, but all of these marching to the highs. BITF, maybe a potential breakout. And don't look now, but oh my, MNTS. So I know that we really broke down there. We talked about that $7 level. We never quite got to the 65 EMA, but you are getting with 690, I think was the low here, getting about a 30-cent bounce here. Not in this, didn't trust it. My question here is, have we confirmed the bottom? Without touching that 65 EMA, feel like this bounce could very easily be sold, and I would not feel great about chasing this bounce back up.
Yeah, nothing's changed for me until we can, recapture that VWAP. It's a trap. I mean, just look at the price action all morning. We've traded above and closed above the VWAP, but we haven't been able to hold above it, and that's even goes for the impulse move. We went up to 935 this morning, and the pre-market came right back down. Have not been able to hold above this VWAP, so we need to get above that and hold above it. And if we do, I think we could see much higher prints.
Okay, Trout Bum asking about LIMN levels. So we did take a look at LIMN earlier. Apologize if we didn't give you any levels for it. We did talk about the 215 area. That's been snapped and back tested here. So I think we're probably looking for what's next up here. 13, let me know what you think here, but I'm thinking 240 LIMN.
What's the news that's been driving this for the past, for basically all month? This has got all out of nowhere in February, just a ton of volume. Look at the daily chart. Like this is
compliance. Oh no, that was, excuse me. I beg your pardon. That was November of 2025. I apologize. It did get it faces the NASDAQ bid price compliance challenge. That was January 26th. So it looks like they ran it to get it back above that 13.
I mean, look at the daily.
The volume just picked up.
Yeah.
Look, this is what you're talking about. Sorry for taking a year to get here, 13, but this is what you were talking about.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to learn what's, driving all this buying volume. I mean, I don't think it's just that NASDAQ compliance notice. Maybe it is, but this looks like there's something else driving this. I think, with the way this is looking, if we can clear, okay, so you see
240, 250 is what I got next upside levels here.
So if you look at August, if you have to back out a little bit, so
on the daily, sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you look at the in August last year, when we had these two red candles where we dipped down and bounced, that looks like the area where the price has been seeing resistance so far this month. So that would be August 10th. I'm sorry, not August 20th and 21st.
So you're talking right in here. Gotcha. Yeah. And that's going to be up in that 280s, it looks like.
Yeah. So I think if we clear that, we see 4.
Okay. There's your levels, Trout Bum. Let me know if that's helpful. Tom says, Ryan, did you read about the SEC giving themselves a timeline till April 14th to make a decision on the PDT rule? I did not. No, I haven't been following that closely because I'm over that, obviously. But let me just say this. I actually think, especially on some of these like junkier, low-priced movers, we might see more volume in total if that and I think the pattern day trader, correct me if I'm wrong here, but basically the threshold is going to be $2,000. I would imagine that gets a ton of retail buyers that are trying for spec plays into some of these. Now, this decision timeline, I'm sorry, I didn't read up on that. I can look for something like that today, Tom. When I get some more time here, if you have a link handy, drop it in here. I'll check it out. But just what on the surface here, I just think we might see some more volume, and particularly for the smaller movers. Oh, guys, and really quickly here, as mentioned, MNTS, that bounce, G-Man, we were asking, is this a trap? It's a trap. I played the sound effect. Looks like we cannot get back above that. Again, I would really be careful with this, and especially until the volume shows that something here is different. Right now, it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, like I was saying, when it comes to VWAP, this thing that indicator has essentially suppressed the upside price action all morning. So I need to see the price above that.
ORCX here. You had a little bit of a dip to the VWAP, a hold, and then it absolutely broke the pre-market high. I was selling into the resistance area. Man, I should have maybe taken a little bit more here and scaled out of this one. Looks like I lost an opportunity for a pretty good trade here on ORCX. I did scalp it a little bit, but I just made lunch money on it. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
This
Mo,
kept going. This was a good call.
there have been a lot of no news names popping, but I think the other component to that is they've had very low floats as well. It's really a lot of the low floats that are just getting sent these days. Just find those low floats, and these market makers latch onto those, and just start moving around, get everybody into them. Now STM is pulling back here to the VWAP. Sorry,
it's okay. So we can go to the bigger chart here. How much time do we have? 15 minutes. We're still good here. Andas still at the highs. Jay here was mentioning LITE, and Lynn is mentioning app, and you're looking for levels here. So we can start with LITE. This here, man, I look, Jay here reminding it, he's up from 52 on this one. Jay, your cost basis on Light is 52. This was a $50 stock about a year ago.
well, you made a lot work of that.
Look at this, dude. In February 12th, February 10th of 2025, the stock was $80. Jay, you're $30 off. This thing is 594 now. Congrats to whoever's in this one. This was a big miss here. I definitely should have followed you in on this one. Look at this 50-day pullback. Pullback to the 50-day moving average. What? Almost a double.
We might have an opportunity with AEHR. Thinking about it, brought this one up. I just looked at the chart, the daily chart. Okay. I'm sure if you back out enough, you'll see what I'm seeing.
Lynn, don't worry. We'll do app here next. But here's AEHR now 13. I thinking you're going to have a trend line in here. Let's see. Let's see how nice this is.
I think you already see it
right up here.
I think you see it. Look at that.
I think that might be at 13.
We break this trend line, we could see some, pretty good price action. $40 and $50, big resistance areas beyond the trend line.
Now this trend line's up here at 31 and change. Current price is at 27 and a quarter. So we got a couple of dollars to go here, but 13. This was a good mention here. What did you have on this? Thinking about it. Oh, yeah, you were just mentioning that it was popping here today. Okay.
Yeah, thinking about it, brought it up. I looked at this and I was like,
gotcha.
Oh, hey, look at this. We have a potential trend line break coming here. Just got to. I mean, it's the past since October, since we had that basically the Q4 kick in. This has been trying to get above that trend line. I'd be keeping a close eye on this one. This looks pretty good. Let's see if we can get back up over 30.
Okay, AEHR. I've traded this before and actually done pretty well. Okay, really quickly here, a check-in on Ondas because we talked about the 50-day moving average being key here for a hold. That 50-day moving average is at 1033. We're at 1061. We're above it now, but folks, remember, it's all about the close. We've seen Ondas pull back after it's making a move higher here. This looks good. This is exactly what we'd hoped for. We've done a really good job charting this one. Looks like we're trying to bust out of this high volume shelf into the lower volume shelves. All of this would be great. Let's keep an eye on that closing candle when we get to the end of the day here. Lynn, I didn't forget about you. You wanted some levels here on app. As mentioned here, app, this is part of IGV that ETF folks are trading. They also report earnings on Wednesday after hours, so factor that back into your trade plan. On the daily chart, the move here today and Friday, bueno, closing this gap down, right? We had this gap fills up here, low here, 382. Looks like 402 was the bottom. Nice little gap close here on app. That can't be right. Yeah, it shifted it. Sorry. Low here was 448.57. We're at 453. That's correct. So gap fill here. I've got the 200-day right at that round 500 number. Sure looks like app probably wants to challenge that. I don't know what to expect for earnings though, folks.
Feed just went up to 375, the after hours high from Friday, and it's coming back in a little bit. If it can hold above VWAP, there might be another test coming later that can push it through up to 4. So let's see if we get a hold at VWAP there.
Let me go back to the main workspace here. Kevin's asking, Ryan, did you see the news on Ondas? Yes, $30 million contract developing at the Israel-Syria border. My takeaway from this, great that they got the new contract there, but this is really exactly what Eric told us. He's increasing the technology stack there at Ondas. It's allowing them to take on other projects like the one they PR'd about here today. This is just everything seems to be going the direction we want it to go.
Touch on app real fast. $500. If we can't recapture that, I think we come back down further. Maybe the 500-day SMA.
Okay. Now, when we speak on Happy Hour, one of our, I want to call it more conservative swing traders there, really likes to see quick recapture of these levels and then 3 closes above them. So 13, to your point here about this 500 test, it's possible that we overshoot this, maybe even close at like 505 one of these days here, and then immediately pull back over. So if you're going to trade this on a move above 500, you want to see multiple days of that closing price being above that 200.
Yeah, and
not
we
just one.
We just filled this gap from last week today, so there could also be some selling pressure having completed that gap fill. But this looks like we're still resolving a double top. If you look at it, the daily chart, you can see the double top on the pattern here, and I still think this could end up coming down lower, especially if we can't recapture that 500 price, that psychological level and the 200-day SMA. So we'll see if we end up getting that. App hating.
Corey here saying Ondas just executed a vertical integration masterclass. Corey, indeed, it appears that's what's going on here. We want to see that proliferate and continue. That would be ideal. That's one of the reasons why we trade turnarounds on this. We can get these companies at low prices. So far, so good. Let's have that keep going here. I would love to be able to remind everybody that I'm using the J. Rice level or method of trimming, fast and furious. But in order for that to happen next, we're going to need to see a price above 15. I've already trimmed at that level, so we're going to wait that out and be patient. Feed, by the way, everyone that called Feed out earlier, really good stuff, staying on one from last week. This ended up giving a great trade here today. Wasn't on this one myself. Great job for you folks that were on Feed here.
QuantumScape coming up to 950. It's where I have a horizontal line I've had out there for a while. That's where resistance is.
You don't even really need it, 13. The price in the pre-market pretty much drew the horizontal line for you. Vic wants to talk about him. So we talked about all the news here. Honestly, we haven't checked in on it. This thing is continuing to drift lower here. Vic, the first question I would ask you is, are you looking for a level to buy and go long here, or are you trading this to the downside? When we looked at HIMS earlier, I think we talked about maybe 14 in here. I don't feel good about this at all. The new news here about the lawsuit with the pill and Novo Nordisk. Then we had the ad in the Super Bowl that has some controversy going on. I don't want any part of this personally. I think 14 here. 13, you got any other levels on HIMS?
I have a horizontal consolidation channel that I drew from the price action in 2024. So my range there is going to be from about $12 to $24.
Okay.
And so you can see in 2024, like basically from March to November, that consolidated area.
Yeah, right in here. Yep, I see it. Yep.
So we're in that right now. And I think we're going to get some support in here. It could be as low as $12, but I don't know exactly where the support's going to be. This thing is super oversold. So I have to think that a rebound is coming soon. Just can't exactly say where that it's going to be. Maybe it's down around 1350 or 14, or maybe it does even go down as low as 12. But I feel like we're not too far away from turning around here, and maybe just going sideways for a time.
And you know what? I think in 13's case there, I think you can be patient with that too. I don't think you necessarily need to pick the bottom on this one. I took that range that you were talking about and I extended it out on the chart here into where we're at here today. This will give you an idea of what we're looking at.
And
There you
and
go, Vic.
and then you can see that the top of that consolidation channel already provided support earlier. Last year on a couple of occasions in January
Indeed.
and in April. And then here we are starting this year, and we actually lost it. So just thinking that we get this, we want to see like sideways consolidation next, and then the price to rise thereafter.
I also extended the trend line that originated in June of 2024 and went through some of those highs. This gives us a support area right down here in a 16 handle.
There you go.
My wife is launching a telehealth platform that's like Hims. We are watching closely the FDA hammering down on compounding copycats. It's a delicate subject for companies like Hims and Roe. And indeed, you're correct. And that was the news with NVO prior to the news that we had about its ad yesterday. Could NVO close the massive pullback from last week? All right, let me go back to the bigger chart here. We can take a look at NVO. Remember, that was trading higher on the news regarding going after the compounding agencies here. Here's what the chart looks like. And I think what you're asking for here, you're talking about this massive pullback, right? So this fall from like the 58 level. Looking at that, this is basically where the 200 is here. So we're coming up to the 50-day moving average. That's at 53 and a quarter. I like a recapture of that. Maybe we can go to 58 and a half. We'll see. But this is the area that you're talking about. Could it close this massive pullback? I mean, yeah, but I think it's going to need more than just today. Like, weren't we up more than this here this morning? Yeah, right. So we're not getting any continuation from the news here today. That, I think, is step one. We want to see that. Maybe it doesn't happen today. But so far, we're not seeing that.
Yeah, Novo also had an additional piece of news where they are beginning to repurchase 15 billion shares. But this doesn't look particularly appealing to me. Looks like if it doesn't continue to get rejected here, it might get rejected at the 50-day SMA. I don't know. This doesn't look appealing to me. I don't know what more I could add to this.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just kind of letting that marinate there, I suppose, for effect.
Yeah, maybe if this goes sideways for a little bit longer, it might be better. But I don't know. I just don't like the way this looks right now.
I'll be honest. I don't like any of the trades in this sector. The only thing that's working is Lilly.
Look at UNH. So this one I might be able to give a little bit more insight on. So this 280 area. Because it's interesting what happened last week. You had, we were selling off last week, as we all remember. But then on Friday, which I wasn't here for, I noticed that we had a big rebound yesterday on a lot of names. On Friday, I mean. So that looks like we could have capitulated on Thursday and just, rebounded on Friday. But if we can get back above 280, I think we could see more continued upside in UNH. Maybe even get back above 300, but we need to recapture that 280 level because that looks like the next big resistance area from here.
Okay, good stuff there on UNH. Jay, I agree with you on NVO. I think it's broken. You want to pick that, though. AMGN has been good, and Bristol Myers broke out. I think it's more to the story than just the GLP stuff with these companies, though, no? I know that's the case for Bristol Myers, but you're right on both of those. Bristol Myers actually still doing a pretty good job here today. All right, let's see. Let's do a wrap up here because we're almost out of time. We can run through all the movers.
And real quick, I was asked about ASTS.
Sure.
This needs to get back above this 20-day SMA. I know that it's the price is really, really high for a valuation with this company that needs to start reporting some of that revenue it's been talking about. So I don't know exactly why it's got such a high valuation. I know there's a lot of thought about the contracts this has and being able to help these larger telecoms companies reach rural customers. That's all great and everything, but the numbers aren't starting to if we don't start to see that revenue start showing up on the balance sheet, I think the valuation really starts to come back in and correct.
Thinking about it, says Bristol Myers, I can only hear Kramer's voice saying this, LOL. You know what? Thinking about it, me too. That's the problem. Every time I hear someone bring it up, I think Bristol Myers, and I just keep it's. I can't help it. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, let's wrap up here with some of our movers. UOKA was the first one on the list. We talked about this being extremely risky.
Yep.
We talked about being very, very careful with this. And what did it do? Well, of course, it ripped up right out of the open. Actually gave you a great trade if you were taking this, but it very, very quickly gave that back, closed all of these gaps down. It's beneath VWAP here. I'd be careful on this. What say you, 13?
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that we were saying could happen. We didn't have any guarantee, but the slow float, it can get pushed around, and then when it sells off, it can sell off pretty quick. So this thing got pushed up all the way up to 420, got too high, couldn't figure out where it was, and then went home. So this came back in, lost.
Sounds like me in college, 13.
Lost the VWAP. Now it's consolidating above the highs from the pre-market. So that's going to be your support area from here. But if we lose that, you got the 65 EMA, which I'm not sure is going to hold up here. It's the float's super low. Just be careful if you're going to trade it. Understand the risk if you are going to take another shot at this one.
Yeah, be careful with that one. I think the big move's already done. RITR, this was another one. We actually talked about this. This did give a move back to the VWAP, but look at that. It went right to that VWAP, had no strength, couldn't get back above it. Now the volume's compressing again. If you want to keep this on your radar, okay, but watch that volume. It's going to tell the story here.
That seller is still in the way at 119. That's the resistance area. Volume hasn't looked great all morning. So unless we can get above that 119 area, I don't think there's a whole lot here.
Okay. Good stuff there. RITR. Next here is Momentous. And I'll be honest, this one, not great. Maybe this gets rolling later. Again, watch the volume here, but man, oh man, this was our trap stock of the day. It sure looked like this was going to try and break 8. It really couldn't. It's now beneath the VWAP. It's trying to curl here and get through its 9 EMA. Watch that volume. If it doesn't have the volume, just pass on this. What do you think, 13?
Yeah, VWAP's been suppressing the upside price action of this all morning. So maybe now we start to get that move that takes us over VWAP. We need to see this hang out above it for multiple closes on the 5-minute chart. So like three closes, like 15 minutes. But if it can't do that, we get rejected from VWAP. This thing is going to have another test of the 65 EMA, which probably will end up losing that as well. But that is the big level we need to get over here: the VWAP and the $8 level. Biggest upside resistance areas from here.
Okay, and the last one that we're going to have on our list here is going to be Playboy. This is PLBY. This was a stock that was moving on selling part of their division to China. Well, excuse me. I totally screwed that up. This was about them selling part of their China business to UTG Brands, which is a local Chinese there, for $122 million in cash. This should just sell, make them more liquid. Here's what the stock looks like. We did pop up. Looks like 215 is still your resistance. We're above the VWAP now, but the volume started to compress. Once again, volume's going to tell the story. 13, what do you think?
I think the news is good, so I don't want to write this one off. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to trade, but this 215 area, that's the big resistance that we can clearly see so far this morning. Haven't even got up there exactly to that print, just as high as 214, but clearly, there's some folks that want this to go higher, and there's a lot of sellers that don't. But I think just keep this on your radar. The news looks good enough for me to think, this might come back later in the afternoon. So if we get that, watch for a break over 215.
Okay, really good stuff. 13, any closing words for the group?
Yeah, Izzy, Netflix. That looks like that's still going to go down to about 75. Well, we can explore more of that tomorrow. But until then, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. Try to recover from the Super Bowl, and we'll be back at this tomorrow. I'll see you then. Take care.
All right. Really good stuff. As always, 13. Have a good one. We'll see you on Happy Hour, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Folks, that's it for the day. We will see you tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Monday. See you bright and early.